theyeshiva.net.
So right before the Chafam at Aleph, right before the wide lines, the last line of the narrower lines, the line begins Amayim Mechalalinon to Yufta. Okay, Zog the Gemarah. Going to be a lot of music today.
Chodesh.
Halo Rosh Chodesh. We're going to learn about Rosh Chodesh and they'll celebrate Rosh Chodesh. Sorry, I'm not. Okay, so now the Gemara continues and tells a story. After the previous sugya, where we learned about Adar, the first Adar, and the second Adar, and how many days they were, and how it worked. So now the Gemara tells the following story. Ki asa Ula. When Ula arrived, what does it mean when Ula arrived? Ula arrived from Eretz Yisrael. He arrived to Bavel, to Babylonia. Ula was one of the Amirayim who would often travel from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, and he was one of the people who would therefore transmit the traditions, the halachas that they taught in Eretz Yisrael to the yeshivas in Bavel. So when Ula once came to Bavel, Amar, he said, Abruha la'elu. You should know that the Bezdin in Eretz Yisrael, the Sanhedrin, made Elul 30 days. Now we learned before that Rav said that from the days of Ezra, Loy Matzinu Elul Mu'ubar. That's Rav speaking till his time. Ula lives after Rav, and he says, I want you to know that this year, Bezdin made Elul 30 days. Elul is Mu'ubar. He notifies them. Amar Ula. And Ula said, Yodi Chavrin Bavloi Maiti Vusa Ovdin Bahadayu. Do our friends in Bavel and Babylonia even know what good we did for them by the fact that we postponed Elul for another day, and hence Rosh Hashanah was delayed? Instead of Rosh Hashanah being day 30, it becomes day 31. Do they even know our Chaverim in Bavel Maiti Vusa? I told them the news, but they may not even understand the benefit of it. Well, what's the Havana here? So Tosfos says, the first Tosfos on Chafam and Aleph, my tivusa, Shema Abrim Elo. In other words, they were complaining. They were complaining about it.
They made Yom Kippur on the wrong day.
Why? My tivusa Shema Abrim Elo. The mutav shaloya abru, k'tei shaloya trei yom in mesafek. Remember, for the Bnei Bavel, it would have been geschmacker if they could know that Elul is not Mu'ubar. Elul is always 29 days, and therefore they don't have to do 2 days Rosh Hashanah Misafik. They don't have a Safik. If Elul could become 30 days, then they have to do 2 days Misafik. According to Rashi, they do it the wrong day because they don't know what it is. So therefore, mitzvah their perspective, it's much better if they know Elul is not Mu'ubar. Suddenly Ula says, we did you a tremendous favor. You don't even know what a favor it was. Stop criticizing it. Why? What's the favor? What's the favor?
When was this according to the 500 years?
What? No, that's what I said. Rav said that from Ezra till his time Elul was not Mu'ubar. But this is after that. Yeah, of course. Before that, Elul wasn't Mu'ubar. He's telling a fact. He came to Bavel and he said, this year Elul was Mu'ubar. My tivusa, what's the favor? Ula Amar. Ula says, I'll tell you the favor. Mishum Yarkaya. For the vegetables. What's the issue with the vegetables? So let's see Rashi. Yodi Chavrin Bavloi. See Rashi, middle of the page. Kaloimar. Noisnin leiv lahakir toiver sha'isin imam b'nei Eretz Yisrael shevru es Elul. Do they have an asina slave? Do they focus their heart to recognize, to be makir toiver, to recognize the goodness that the people of Eretz Yisrael, b'nei Eretz Yisrael, did for them by making Elul one more day? What's the issue? Ula says yarkaya, vegetables. So Rashi, lahafrit Shabbos v'Yom Tov zeh mizeh. To separate Shabbos and Yom Tov one from the other. Kedei shelo yichmoishu yirakas ha'ne'acholos kshein chayin b'Shabbos she'achar Yom Tov or b'Yom Tov she'achar Shabbos. In order that the vegetables that are being eaten when they are raw on Shabbos that comes after Yom Tov or Yom Tov that comes after Shabbos shouldn't experience kmisha, they shouldn't be decomposed and rotten and decadent. So what does Ula say? Yeah. Let's say Rosh Hashanah was supposed to be Wednesday. Let's say. In other words, Elul is 29 days. Aleph Tishrei is supposed to be Wednesday. Chavtes Elul is supposed to be Tuesday. If Rosh Hashanah is Wednesday, automatically, when is Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is going to be Friday. Right?
It's not possible. We said Adu. It's not possible.
That's my point. That's my point. That's exactly my point. It would have been, if Elul was 29 days, Rosh Hashanah would be Wednesday, right? Aleph Tishrei would be Wednesday. So Ches Tishrei would be Wednesday, right? 8 days later. Tes Tishrei would be Thursday. Yud Tishrei, Yom Kippur would be Friday. If Yom Kippur would be Friday, now you want to eat vegetables on Shabbos. When do you harvest these vegetables? You can't harvest them Friday. Friday's Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to harvest. Not Friday afternoon, not Friday morning, not Thursday night. You have to harvest them Thursday, right? Not like a regular Erev Shabbos. So now the vegetables stay out Thursday night. They stay out Friday. No refrigeration at this point. They, of course, stay out Friday night. Now Shabbos, you want to eat them. And they're rotten, they're decadent. This is if Rosh Hashanah was Wednesday. By postponing Rosh Hashanah, making Wednesday the 30th of Elul and Rosh Hashanah is Thursday, so now everything is a day later, so it's not a problem. Yom Kippur is going to be on Shabbos. So therefore, you cut your vegetables on Friday. You're good. I mean, you can't eat Shabbos anyway, but...
anyway, they received the information.
You can eat Mitzvah Shabbos. What?
Did you not get the information before? Ula is coming, he's telling them, we did it. When he's coming just the day after Rosh Hashanah.
We're talking about the communities in Bavel where they had already the messengers before Yom Kippur and before Sukkot. Before Yom Kippur and before Sukkot.
While it was happening, it was coming.
Yeah, you're right. With the Shluchei of Bezdin come to the Bavel and tell them what happened before Yom Kippur and before Sukkot, right? In other words, that it was pushed off by a day, they have a tremendous benefit. This is what Ula said. Mishum Yarkaya. So as Rashi says, Yom Tov and Shabbos shouldn't be together. So if it was supposed to be Friday, it gets postponed to Shabbos. If it was supposed to be Sunday, which would be the same problem, it gets postponed to Monday. So you have a break in between, and you can harvest your vegetables the day before. For the other holidays, right?
No, for Shabbos.
But for Shabbos after Yom Kippur.
If Yom Kippur is Friday.
If Yom Kippur is Friday, Shoshana is Wednesday, Yom Kippur is Friday, what are you going to do? You can't harvest it on Friday, you can harvest it Thursday night, your vegetables are going to be rotten. Rabbi YY Jacobson says, Mishum Messiah, the benefit is for the dead. Again, if Rosh Hashanah is Wednesday, Yom Kippur is going to be Friday. If Yom Kippur wouldn't be Friday, somebody passes away. On Shabbos, you bury him at Tzai Shabbos, not a problem. Okay. If somebody passes away on Friday, you bury him on Friday. But when you have Yom Kippur coming before Shabbos, or Yom Kippur coming after Shabbos, so what's your problem? Your problem is the person passes away Thursday night. Usually you would do a Levaya on Friday. Even Friday night, you could do a Levaya Mitzvah Shabbos, Kvurim Mitzvah Shabbos. But here, Thursday night you can't do it, Friday you can't do it, Friday night you can't do it, Shabbos you can't do it. You're leaving the maze for 2 days, he's going to rot. He's going to decompose. So therefore, if you make Elul one more day, Yom Kippur is delayed by a day. So instead of Yom Kippur being Friday, let's say Rosh Hashanah was supposed to be Wednesday, you made Rosh Hashanah Thursday, so instead of Yom Kippur being Friday, Yom Kippur becomes Shabbos. Somebody dies on Friday or Thursday night, he's buried on Friday. Somebody dies Friday night, you're just leaving him one day, you're leaving him Shabbos, Mitzvah Shabbos, you're burying him. You don't have 2 days of delaying the corpse of being buried. That's what Rabbi YY says. Ula said vegetables, Rabbi YY said Messiah. Rashi says, Messiah, lahafrit Shabbos v'yoyim ha-kippurim zemizah. To separate Shabbos and Yom Kippur. Shelo yisrach meis sheyamos be'echad mehen. a mace that dies in one of the 2 days, Shabbos or Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is Sunday or Yom Kippur is Friday. A mace dies in one of them. Sheyehei rishon v'lo yikav v'lo hayom v'lo macher. He dies whichever one is first. If he dies on the second day, then I don't mind. If he dies on Shabbos, Yom Kippur is Friday, so it's like any Shabbos, right? Problem is he died on Yom Kippur. He died Friday morning or Thursday night, and now you're delaying it. So lo yikav v'lo hayom. He won't be buried today, meaning Friday, v'lo macher, not Shabbos. You have to wait till Mitzvah Shabbos, and the mace could rot. Okay, clear. Frag the Gemarah, my beinayim. What's the difference between the two reasons? It sounds like Ula and Rabbi are arguing. If Rosh Hashanah was supposed to be on Wednesday, and they delayed it to be on Thursday, what's the difference between the two reasons? My b'nai, my nafkamina. Stam an argument? Both reasons are good reasons. He said there is an argument. Why? Yom Kippur shecholi is acher HaShabbos. If Rosh Hashanah is Wednesday, you're right, there's no argument. They both agree. Because if Rosh Hashanah is Wednesday, so then Yom Kippur is when? Friday. If Yom Kippur is Friday, you have a problem with vegetables, and you have a problem with mesa. What's your problem with vegetables? You want to eat vegetables on Shabbos, you can't cut them on Friday night, it's Yom Kippur. And Friday night is Shabbos, you can't cut them Thursday night, it's Yom Kippur. You have to cut them on Thursday, and you have to leave them for Thursday night, Friday, and Shabbos, and therefore it's going to get ruined. Okay, the same problem is with a mace. But what about if Yom Kippur is Sunday? In other words, Rosh Hashanah is Friday. Rosh Hashanah is supposed to be Friday. Elul is 29 days. Last day of Elul is Thursday. Rosh Hashanah is going to be Friday. If Rosh Hashanah is Friday, so Ches Tishrei is going to be Friday, and Tes is going to be Shabbos, and Yud is going to be Sunday. Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday. Here there's going to be a difference. What's going to be the difference? Man Dama Mishum Messiah. The one who says, Reb Acho says the main reason is because the dead, Mabrina. Bezdin will say we gotta add a day to Elul. Why? Because if we're going to leave Rosh Hashanah on Friday and we're not going to delay it to Shabbos, Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday, and the Mesim are going to get embarrassed and denigrated. But Man Dama Mishum Yarkaya. But Ulu maintains that the primary reason is vegetables. He's going to say, what's the problem? Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday. Okay, so what's your issue? Your issue is you're going to leave your vegetables for 2 days. What for Shabbos you have vegetables because you cut them Friday. Friday is a regular day, right? So for Shabbos you have fresh vegetables. It's not 2 days old. Your problem is Sunday your vegetables are going to be rotten. So he says, "Le'emas kaboyalahu." When do you need the vegetables to be fresh? L'urta. At night, Sunday night, when the fast finishes. No, l'urta. At night, tarach umaisi. He'll exert himself. It's not the most comfortable situation. It's dark. Before Thomas Edison, you have to go harvest your vegetables. Okay, but it's not a major. You're not starving. Umaisi, you'll bring vegetables. You'll go collect the vegetables. You'll harvest the vegetables, and you'll bring them. Why do you have to add another day to Elul? That would be a nafkamina practically. That's why there's an argument. There's an argument. If Rosh Hashanah is supposed to be Wednesday, they both agree. Not good, we're making it Thursday. But if Rosh Hashanah is supposed to be Friday, according to the one opinion, Messiah, Friday is not good. Why? Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday. We have a problem. So we have to delay it, Rosh Hashanah to Shabbos. According to the Shita of Yarkaya, he says it's not an issue. Yom Kippur will be Sunday. You'll cut your vegetables Friday. You'll have beautiful vegetables on Shabbos. Sunday, they'll rot. You don't need vegetables for Sunday. You're fasting. Yom Kippur is a fast day. At night, you'll go get your vegetables. Yeah.
But let's say you're in Babel, and it's the other the other Yom Tov. Right? So you still could have a situation where you could have 2 days Yom Tov and Shabbos, yeah? Things like that. You know, what do they do for vegetables then? It's Pesach. It's you know, even let's say so you eventually could have a continuation of Yom Tov to Shabbos.
Sure, because
either Friday Shabbos or Thursday Friday
Shabbos.
2
days Yom Tov.
The vegetables didn't seem to, or the mason didn't seem to bother about that.
Well, it wasn't a problem because Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath, they let them bury.
Oh yeah, that's true. They could bury.
Right, so it wasn't a problem. And even the first day of Yom Tov, you could bury through a non-Jew. Shabbos and Yom Kippur not.
Okay.
As we'll see in a moment.
But the vegetables? Yarakis?
Besides the vegetables, you have an issue. Ah? Yeah, we're going to discuss it. Yeah.
Erev Yom Kippur, I remember my grandfather, when he passed away, Erev Yom Kippur, we buried him, and then he had no shiva. So, like, what's the problem with Erev Yom Kippur?
Well, not they didn't have shiva, they had a small shiva.
We didn't have shiva.
Something.
I don't remember shiva.
Very short.
I mean, that day is the shiva?
Yeah. Stop. No, if the person dies Erev Yom Kippur, it's not a problem. If Yom Kippur is Sunday, if Yom Kippur is Friday, and the person dies on Thursday, it's fine. The problem is if the person died on Thursday night or Friday morning. So usually you would bury him, same day. But you can't. It's Yom Kippur. So what do? You want to bury the next day or the next night? It's Shabbos. So when do you have to do the Levaya? Mitzvah Shabbos. Without freezers that they have in the morgues today, the mace is going to decompose. May rot. They didn't want that. This was a common thing. This wasn't
We're going to have it this year because the Yom Tov will come out Wednesday night. We get the Rosh Hashanah. And then Yom Kippur's Shabbos. This comes out this year.
Yom Kippur is only Shabbos. It's one day. Friday is the problem.
If Yom Kippur is on Shabbos, it's not a problem. It's just like Shabbos. The problem is if Yom Kippur is on Friday, Yom Kippur is on Sunday. So you have a 2-day stretch. We don't care for holidays on Shabbos. That's fine. That's one day. The problem is the day before the day after. You understand? Yeah. Frag the Gemarah. Okay. So we have an argument if Yom Kippur is after Shabbos. If Yom Kippur would be after Shabbos, would we delay Rosh Hashanah? Messiah would say yeah. Yarkaya would say no. Zog the Gemarah, but I don't understand. Lamanda Amar Mishum Yarkaya La'abri Mishum Messiah. Even the man who holds that it was done for vegetables, he also understands the logic of Mesim. So he should also say, if Yom Kippur is going to be on Sunday, you have to delay Rosh Hashanah by a day for the Mesim. Why would Ullah argue with that? Nobody dies. The Svara is a Svara. You're telling me one who holds mitzvah vegetables would not make Elul 30 days in a situation where Rosh Hashanah is supposed to be Friday. Because he doesn't care if Yom Kippur is on Sunday. It doesn't bother him. Because the only issue is vegetables, you don't have to eat on Yom Kippur. Fine. But why is he not worried about Messiah? Why would he disagree? You're trying to explain the chiluk of the two shittas. Why would he disagree with the second shitta? There's still a problem of Mesim, and therefore Yom Kippur should be delayed by a day. Make Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos, so Yom Kippur won't be Sunday, Yom Kippur will be Monday. So if somebody dies on Shabbos, you could bury him at Shabbos. If somebody dies on Sunday, you bury him on Sunday. If somebody dies on Monday, which is Yom Kippur, you bury him Monday night.
Why does this question have to make a Vanai? This is just a question. Why he's not holding from the other ship? He's definitely not caring from this.
Well, first we wanted to bring out the practical chiluk. L'may nafkamina between the two. Is there any nafkamina? So he says there is a nafkamina. They would argue in a situation where the Rosh Hashanah is supposed to be Friday. He'll say, leave it, and he'll say, don't leave it. He says, why would he disagree with him on this? You're right.
If he agrees, then it's no machloek anymore.
Yeah, in other words, it could be, they're still saying two different reasons, they completely agree. So the Gemara says, what's the point? Just say there's two reasons. You want to say there's a chiluk. What would be the chiluk? You always want to see halacha l'maisa to see what's the real difference. When it comes down practically, you could see what the difference is. If not, it's tam abstract. So the Gemara wants to know, my beinayim. Who cares? Yakayim, Messiah, fine. Is there a difference? He says, yeah, there's a major difference. The situation when Rosh Hashanah is Friday. Rosh Hashanah Wednesday, they'll both agree to delay it a day. Rosh Hashanah Friday, no way. There'll be an argument. He says, but why taka? Very good, but why taka? And therefore the Gemara rejects this chiluk. The Gemara says, you're right. This is a strong argument. There's no reason to disagree.
You could say that one opinion.
He will agree, yeah. Mitzad Messiah, not Mitzad Yerkayim, Mitzad Messiah.
So what is the machloek?
We'll see right now.
You could say that the machlokes says that the person that says the vegetables, he says that you're inconveniencing everybody. But the one that says Messiah, even if you're only going to inconvenience very few people, how many people is it going to affect? But it's a much bigger inconvenience for that person. So that could be a machlok.
Okay, you're saying that it's a question.
You're not going to change.
There's a famous question in Acharayim. If ribuy hakamos machriya ha'echos or ribuy ha'echos machriya hakamos. If quantity trumps quality, or quality trumps quantity. So you're saying, mitzad yirakas, it's an issue of the masses. Nobody's going to have what to eat. Right? But it's vegetables. They can maybe eat something else. It won't be so geschmack. Mashiach Messiah is not affecting everybody. It's affecting those individuals, but it's a serious thing. That the mace is going to decompose, is going to rot, is a serious thing. So that's the question. What's the kuf? Very good. You're saying what's the svara? Right. Is it mitzad kamos or mitzad echos? The shaila is my beinayu, the my nafkamina. It would seem that they both. No, in other words, it would seem that there's no nafkamina. In other words, is there a difference because Lepoil both don't want Yom Kippur and Shabbos to be together?
No, but one says I don't care.
Near each other, not
no,
together.
One says I don't care about the mason.
Fine, but my beinayu, if we're both agreeing that Yom Kippur and Shabbos should not follow each other, so mine of Kamina.
No, what I'm saying is that
We both agree. You say that the result is the same. You why?
We're giving my.
Oh, that.
Right, but I'm saying is.
That's the Gemara's point. Very good.
Right.
Fine. You're right. That's what the Gemara is saying. The result is not going to be the same. But now the Gemara is asking another shaila. Why wouldn't he hold of the chashash of Mesa?
I'm asking on top of that. There could be a difference. There's a reason why.
Fine, but what? You're right. It's only a few people, but it's l'chayra a very serious chashash.
But maybe the New Yorker says I don't care about a few people.
It's a good answer. What it could have answered.
In other words, l'chayra, why not? Why would he not care about it? You're telling me that he holds that kamos is more important than echos, but doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. L'chayra should mean something. That's the shaila. So the Gemara is going to say taka something else. The way to do it is different. The difference is as follows: Yom hasamuch l'Shabbos. I'm sorry, Yom Tif hasamuch l'Shabbos bein milfana bein melachera. If it's the Yom Tif of Rosh Hashanah that comes out near Shabbos, whether before Shabbos or after Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah is on a Friday or Rosh Hashanah is on Sunday. Now remember a klal. Rosh Hashanah is on Friday, Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday. Rosh Hashanah is on Wednesday, Yom Kippur is going to be Friday. Yom Kippur is always 2 days after Rosh Hashanah. The first day of Sukkot is always going to be the first day of Rosh Hashanah, the same time. So if Rosh Hashanah is on a Friday, the first day of Sukkot is on a Friday. If Rosh Hashanah is on a Sunday, the first day of Sukkot is on a Sunday. So you have again Shabbos and Yom Tif right near each other. He says that's going to be the difference. Man da'amar mishum yarkaya. The one who says it's some such vegetables, mabrinon. He says you have to delay Rosh Hashanah by a day. Why? If Rosh Hashanah is, let's say, supposed to be Sunday, Elul 29 is Shabbos, day 30 is Sunday, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Yom Kippur I'm not worried about. Yom Kippur is going to be on a Tuesday, it's perfect. But Sukkot is going to be on a Sunday. Now you're going to want vegetables for your Sunday meal. Your vegetables are rotten because you cut them from your garden on Friday because you had Shabbos and Sunday. Mishum Yerchaya Mabrina. Delay Rosh Hashanah by a day. Instead of Rosh Hashanah being Sunday, let Rosh Hashanah be Monday. So the first day of Sukkot is Monday. So you cut your vegetables for Sukkot. Sunday afternoon, you have wonderful vegetables. You just let them you left them one night. Man, Mishum Messiah. But the one who holds Mishum Messiah, he says you don't have to delay it. You know why? Efsheba Amami. You could use other nations. Amami is from the word Amim. You could use Gentiles. We take a learn to Masechta Beitza Davav. You remember that Yom Tif, you can use Goyim to do the burial. So therefore it's not a problem. What's the problem? Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, okay, so Sukkot will be Sunday, so what's the problem? Somebody died on Shabbos, you don't have to let the mace rot. Mitzvah Shabbos, you bring a Goy, you do the burial. It's fine. Yom Tov Sheni, as we said, you could do it. It's like Chol, but even Yom Tov Rishon we're talking about. Yom Tov Rishon, you could do it with Goyim. Oh, Yom Kippur not. Yom Kippur not. So that would be a chilek.
Like Shabbos.
Yeah, that's right. The first chilek the Gemara rejected. What was the first chilek if Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday that the Gemara rejected? Because even if you're not afraid of vegetables, you should care about mason. We don't say Ola doesn't care about mason. We're not going to say that. Right? This is already a different chilek. This is Yom Tif, not Yom Kippur. This is Yom Tif that comes out, say, after Shabbos or before Shabbos. So now my problem is Yerakas. I don't know about an issue of mason. So therefore, Ula would say, make Rosh Hashanah a day later. Rabbacha would say, don't make Rosh Hashanah. When would Rabbacha say, make Rosh Hashanah a day later? If you're going to have Yom Kippur on a Friday or Yom Kippur on a Sunday. In other words, if Rosh Hashanah falls out Wednesday, so Yom Kippur is going to be Friday. Or Rosh Hashanah is supposed to fall out Friday, so Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday. Rabbacha says, now you got to push it off. Now you got to push it. But if it's a situation where You have Yom Tov coming out before or after Shabbos. Mitzad Mesim, I don't have an issue. Just use a guy. What does it mean, Yom Tov coming out before or after Shabbos? It would mean what? It would mean that Rosh Hashanah say is Sunday. Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday. Here we have a shtickle problem. Tosfos says, Bein milfaneh, bein lachera. Rabbi Natam legaris milfaneh. Rabbi Natam had a problem with the word if Rosh Hashanah comes out before Shabbos. Why? The imchal Rosh Hashanah v'sukkos milfaneh typically mishum meisayid the miklei Yom Kippurim b'echad b'Shabbos. In other words, this only works if Rosh Hashanah comes out on Sunday. You get it? So then the first day on Sukkot is on Sunday. First day Sukkot on Sunday. Now there's a machlokas. Rabbi Acha says somebody dies, use a guy. Ula says vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. Granted. But if Rosh Hashanah would fall out on Friday, so the first day of Sukkot would be Friday. So you're right. Mitzad the Mesim on Sukkot I have no issue, but if Rosh Hashanah is Friday, Yom Kippur is Sunday. If Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, Yom Kippur is Tuesday. But if Rosh Hashanah is Friday, Yom Kippur is Sunday, Mitzad Mesim, you still have a problem, so there wouldn't be an argument. So how could the Gemarah say, Bein milfaneh, bein milachareh? The Gemarah had to say, Yom Tov hasamach l'Shabbos, milachareha. In other words, Sunday, not Friday. So Rabbi Natam took out the word bein milfaneh. So Rabbi Natam couldn't be guided as this. Couldn't be guided, you understand? Because Rosh Hashanah Friday, they would both agree. Not mitzat sukkos, but mitzat Yom Kippur. There's no Mai Beinayu. The Mai Beinayu is only if Rosh Hashanah is supposed to be on Sunday. Ula says delay it to Monday. Reb Acha says no need for a delay to Monday. I'll just add that the Tosfos Harash here says you could be Geiris Mulfanah. Why could you be Geiris Mulfanah? He says it's not talking about Rosh Hashanah. It's talking about Pesach or Shavuos. If you see a situation that Pesach is going to fall out right before Shabbos, the first day of Pesach is going to be on Friday, so Shabbos you won't have vegetables. They're going to delay Rosh Chodesh Nisan by a day. That's what it means. Yom Tov, it doesn't say Rosh Hashanah. Tosfos is learning, Rabbi Natam is learning, Yom Tov is talking about Rosh Hashanah. So he says if Rosh Hashanah is Lefanah, you have to delay it. B'tzad Mesim on Yom Kippur. He says no, Yom Tov hasamach l'Shabbos is talking about all Yom Tovim. Like you asked before. Pesach, Shavuos.
How could they?
Now remember, Shavuos is a funny situation.
Pesach comes out Sunday a lot of times.
Huh?
Pesach comes out on Sunday.
You mean now?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see in the Maskana. We'll see in the Maskana. So that's why you could say Lefanah. In other words, Mitzad Rosh Hashanah Taka Lefanah, there wouldn't be an argument. But Mitzad Pesach, there would be an argument. Rabbi Acha would say, why are you pushing off Why are you pushing off Rosh Chodesh Nisan? What's the problem? Pesach is going to be on a Friday. Okay, somebody will die. You'll bring a guy to bury him. Matzad Ula, Yerokus, there's a problem. I want vegetables for Pesach. What's going to be with my karpas? What's going to be with my Faket, Pesach? You actually need vegetables. Pesach, you really need vegetables. Although the vegetables are the night, so it's gefährlich. We're talking about the day probably, because you have to wait longer. Huh?
Second,
Right. Okay, so that's going to be the Mai Beinai. So this is an interesting, are you Geiris Lefana, you're not Geiris Lefana. Now we have still the opposite problem. We rejected the first Mai Beinayu because Ula would not be apathetic and insensitive to Mason. Now go the other way around. The same Mason. The one who holds that you delay Rosh Hashanah only when there's a problem with the dead, why doesn't he care about Jews having vegetables? Why doesn't he care about it? You're telling me if Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, he says, I don't care. Sukkot will be Sunday, fine. You'll cut the vegetables on Friday. Sunday, your vegetables are rotten. You're trying to sit in a sukkah and eat your vegetables, and you can't go send out a guy to harvest vegetables on sukkahs. Why don't you care about it? The answer is, Efsher b'chamimi. Rabbi Acha says, with vegetables is the eitzes. With mesim is the shtakin eitzes. Vegetables means, Rashi says, b'chamimi means you could soak it in warm water. There's an eitzah, you could soak it in warm water. Since you could soak it in warm water, so Sukkot is on a Sunday. The vegetables are taka horrible, they're dried out. You take the vegetables, you put them in water on Yom Tov, and they get some vitality back. You can eat them. Or the same as the other way around. What would be the other way around? If Yom Tov is on a Friday, no, Shabbos you're not let us soak. Shabbos you're not let us soak them in the warm water. But the pshat would be, l'cha'ira, that what? That on Yom Tov, right before Shabbos, you made a native tafshil and you soak it right before Shabbos, and therefore it's like you harvested right before Shabbos, even though you harvested it on Thursday. Okay, so it's going to work. Efshe b'chamimi. All the want Jews should be comfortable. They shouldn't have to rely on soaking the vegetables. It should be fresh, geschmacke vegetables for Einig Shabbos and Einig Yom Tov. And Rabbi Achas said, for this, we're not going to manipulate anything in a calendar. Efshe b'chamimi, for a mace, I have a problem. And therefore, there's an argument. If Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Sunday, there's going to be an argument. Ula says, delay it. Rabbi Achas says, no need for delay it. Vegetables, my problem is mason, that's the issue. Okay, that's the my benayah. Rashi says, Bachamimi, Shoiram Bachamin, V'choizus L'kadmusan. You soak them in warm water, and they go back to their kadmusan. Kadmusan means their original state. Their original state. In other words, fresh. They're fresh. Good. Frag the Gemarah, okay, if this is true, if Ul and Rebach are right, I have a question. Why is he saying the people of Bavel don't know how thankful they should be to us? Maishna, what's the difference in Bavel and Eretz Yisrael? L'didan, that for us there's a favor. I feel that they do nami, for them it's also a favor. I don't understand. The Bnei Eretz Yisrael don't eat vegetables. The Bnei Eretz Yisrael don't have any dead to bury. Why did Ula say our friends in Bavel never even understand how appreciative they should be for the Bnei Eretz Yisrael for making the Ibriyar? The Bnei Eretz Yisrael should be appreciative. Everybody should be appreciative. This is a benefit of the community. And for the Gemarah, for this you have to understand the difference. Lididon, for us, the Babylonians, Chavilon Alma. The ear is very hot, the climate is very warm. Bavel is in valleys, in a deep place. There's not a lot of ear, and therefore, mason decompose fast, and vegetables rot fast. L'didu, for them and it's not so hot, it's a mountainous land. The Pasuk says, Eretz Harim, it's a land of mountains, and therefore there's much more air. And the problem of decomposition after 2 days is less likely. Rashi says, Lididon chavilon alma anu bnei Bavel cham lanu ha'olam. The world is a hot place for us. V'yesh lanu hevel. There is hot ear. L'fisha Bavel amukahi. Bavel is very deep. Ve'ena, in other words, it's in valleys. Ve'ena eretz harim agvoyes karetz yisrael ve'en shoyled ba'aver. So the ear doesn't rule over there. Ear doesn't come in so much. So that means they were thinking about the Jews in Bavel. They were not thinking about themselves. For themselves, they didn't need it. That's why Ula spoke about the graciousness, the Akaras HaTov, that the Bnei Bavel have to have. Huh? You can't cut them, no. You can't cut the vegetables in it. You're asking if it's Melechas Eichel Nefesh, why can't you harvest vegetables on Yom Tov? Just like you shecht on Yom Tov and you cook on Yom Tov, why can't you harvest? The answer is Melechas that you could do Erev Yom Tov, you don't do on Yom Tov, as we learned in Masechta Beitza. There's a question of that's an Issa D'Oraisa, it's an Issa D'Rabbanan, that's a big Machlekes Yerushalayim, but generally we're not allowed to do such Melechas. Okay.
Every melacha that don't change anything for the food, not allowed to do the food.
Right. And to say that this year they should let you harvest it because the food is going to get ruined, loy plug. They made it a you don't cut vegetables on, or fruits or grain on Yom Tov. Okay.
These which are fine because the ones that are not allowed. So to differentiate who spread today or yesterday.
Right, but even not mitzad noilad. Malacha that you could do Erev Yom Tov, you don't do on Yom Tov, even if it's Eichel Nefesh. Shchita, you can also do Erev Yom Tov, but the meat is going to get decomposed. It's not fresh. Cooking you can also do. Baking you can also do. But it's going to deteriorate the nature of the food, yeah. What? Why? Yeah, but once shchit is mutter, it wasn't changed. Today you could shech.
You're saying here what? Vegetables are also getting worse.
No, because if it's Friday, it's fine. If most Yom Tovim it's not Friday, it's only in these years. No, usually it's fine.
One
Day's fine. Problem is 2 days. You have this every Shabbos and Yom Kippur, the mace you can't bury, right? But it's fine. It works. 2 days. In Bavel is a problem. You see, even at Yisrael, it's not so bad, he says. One or other. The Gemara said in the beginning, my beinayu, the beinayu would be if Yom Kippur is going to be on Sunday, right? If Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Friday, Ula would say delay it. Ula would say don't delay it. Why don't delay it? Because you don't need vegetables for Yom Kippur, right? And the Bacha would say delay it because of Mesa. L'cha'oida, we still have a problem. Why? Let's think about it. If Yom Kippur is on Sunday, when was Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah was on Friday. If Rosh Hashanah is on Friday, when is going to be the first day of Sukkot?
Friday.
The first day of Sukkot is going to be on Friday. So you have, and the same is true with Shmini Atzeres. Remember, whenever you have the first day of Sukkot, you also have Shmini Atzeres. Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Sukkot and Shmini Atzeres are always the same day. Always good to know that. First day Rosh Hashanah, first day Sukkot, Shmini Atzeres, always the same day of the week. So if Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Friday, Yom Kippur is going to be on Sunday. So I understand it's at vegetables for Yom Kippur, I don't care. Because you're not eating vegetables on Sunday. And with Yom Kippur, you can go and cut. Sunday night, go cut. But there's another issue. What's the issue? If Rosh Hashanah is Friday, Sukkot is Friday, Shmini Atzeres is Friday. No, your vegetables on Shabbos are going to get ruined. Ula doesn't hold that Shabbos you don't eat vegetables, Yom Kippur you don't eat vegetables. But Shabbos you eat vegetables. So l'cha'ira, right? How is that a my beinayu in the Havam? And how is that a my beinayu? It's a peladik thing. That's not a my beinayu. What did the Gemara say? Mitzad Mesim, if Yom Kippur is on Sunday, you got a problem. Mitzad Yerokis, you don't got a problem. Okay, the Gemara rejected it. Because even Ula should be concerned with the Mesim. But what's even the Havam in it? If Rosh Hashanah is Friday and Kippur is Sunday, you have to worry about Sukkot. Forget Yom Kippur. Worry about Sukkot and Shmini Atzeres. People won't have vegetables. Rosh Hashanah is Friday, Sukkot is Friday. You have to cut your vegetables on Thursday. By the time of Shabbos afternoon, Shabbos morning meal comes, they're all rotten. Certainly Shalosh Seudos comes, they're all rotten. You're not going to have what to eat. If Yom Kippur is Sunday, it means Rosh Hashanah is Friday. Remember, right? So mitzad Yom Kippur, you're okay. But mitzad Sukkot, you're not okay. How can Ula ignore them? Now, don't tell me Ula has to worry about Mesim. Even mitzad Yerokis, he should worry mitzad Sukkot. This is a difficulty. This is a difficulty in the Gemara. The Rishonim have a very hard time with this. So I'll just tell you a few of the biyurim that they bring. The Ritva says that the Ritva says as follows. He says it's not such a problem. Why? He says you could cook them on Yom Tif. What's the problem? The problem is Shabbos, you're not going to have vegetables. He says you'll cook them on Yom Tif. You'll make an Erev Tafshilin, and then you'll cook the vegetables on Yom Tif, Sukkos. You'll cook the vegetables on Yom Tif for Shabbos, and they won't get ruined.
This is the answer of the Gemara.
Which is how he teaches Bachamimi. He teaches Bachamimi, you cook it. Rashi says Bachamimi, you take it and you soak it in warm water. He says you actually cook it. The problem is only if Yom Tif comes out on Sunday, then you have a problem. If Yom Tif comes out on Sunday, then you have an issue. Why? Because Yom Tif comes out on Sunday, you can't cook it on Shabbos.
Keep it fresh by cooking.
No, so that's why. If Yom Tif comes out on Sunday, then Ula says, I got a problem with your ruckus. Why? I can't cook it on Shabbos. So for Yom Tif, it's all going to be ruined. Do you understand? But the other way around would work for your ruckus. That's how the Ritva learns. So it would work. That's why the Gemara says, Ula would say, if Rosh Hashanah is on Friday, I don't care. Why? What's the problem? Problem is, Sukkot is going to be Friday. God, so you'll cook it on Sukkot for Shabbos. And by cooking it, it won't die. You'll have it cooked. That's how the Ritva learns. That's his shit. The Chidush Haran says a little different. He says that at this point the Gemara holds that Ula, who holds vegetables, says that this is only when Yom Kippur falls out on Friday. That's what he's talking about. When Yom Kippur falls out on Friday. But Taka, Yom Tif that comes out before Shabbos, he Taka holds that you could soak it in warm water, and therefore, since you could soak it in warm water, it's not a problem. At this point, that's what he holds. That's what he holds. So, b'meila, it could work. When Rashi said in the beginning that it's mitzad Yom Tov and Shabbos, it's according to the conclusion of the Gemara, according to the maskana of the Gemara, that it's even Yom Tov and Shabbos. That would be according to the conclusion of the Gemara. In other words, that Ula doesn't hold from the B'chamimi. In the conclusion of the Gemara, Ula doesn't hold the B'chamimi. He wants it should be Bahar Chava. If B'chamimi means cooking, no, the Faneh works.
Preserve it.
Because you could cook on Yom Tov. On Shabbos you can't cook. On Yom Tov you can cook if you make an Erev Tov Shalom.
No, it says Bainu Fanei Bainu Lachrei.
Right.
If it's Friday, you can't cook it on Shabbos. Or you can cook it Friday.
Yeah, you cook on Friday.
Erev Tavshin.
And if it's Lacharel, you could cook it on
On Yom Tov.
if you touch Chamimi is cooking, it works. Yeah, it works.
What type of vegetable would you be able to save without putting it in hot water? Just trying to picture. Chamini being cooking, I understand. It preserves the cooking. Trying to picture where in my kitchen I would dump vegetables in the water to make
We
it
don't
fresh.
do it because we have
A lot of things are
refrigerator.
different.
Yeah, but when things start to go bad, you ever dunk vegetables
Right.
in water and they start to go bad?
Yeah.
I'll try.
The women always do it with roses and flowers. They say we could still save it, no?
With vegetable also. If the vegetable starts going bad, they do a soup with it, and that's it.
Soup, yes.
So that's what he's saying. The cooking he understands. It
Cooking.
actually says you soak it in hot water. I guess it has a similar effect.
Do it. Try to do it.
See, in yeshiva, you can just learn it and not think about the kitchen when you're learning Gemara. It's just Kabbalah Soul, Rashi says.
Sag the Gemara weiter.
Yini.
Ah, potatoes. They didn't have then, but you're giving an example. Okay, sag the Gemara weiter. Eini. So Ula is telling it. This is all based on a story. This is based on a story that Ula came to Bavel and he said that Elul was 30 days. And what was the reason Elul was 30 days? One reason. Either vegetables or dead. In other words, mitzad, the cheshbainis, Elul really was 29 days. So what's the ched? Did Adis come? Did Adis not come? The Gemara now wants to figure out, how did this work? How did this work?
It's a scam, but ask him so many questions.
Huh? No, we want to understand how it worked.
They didn't have his way out.
Sagt the Gemara, Eini, l'cha'ira, this concept that Bezdin delays Rosh Hashanah by a day for the tzoyrich of the tzibur is not consistent with the truth, with halach. Why? Hatani Rabbi bar Shmuel. Rabbi, the son of Shmuel, taught us a brisa. And if he taught us a brisa, it means it's a tradition that comes from the Tanoim. It's a brisa that was taught. What did the brisa say? Yochel kashem shemabnes hashana l'tzoydech kach mabnes hachodesh l'tzoydech. You might think, just like we make a leap year when we have a need, we can also make a leap month when we have a need. That's what you might think. Just like the Sanhedrin, the central Bezdin, has the authority to add a full month to a year and say this year is going to have 13 months. Why? Mipnei hatzoyrech, not stop, because of a need. What are the needs? The main need is aviv. You need that the grain should be ripe by the time of Pesach. You had to bring a carbon omer on Pesach. You needed that the barley should be able to be ready. Number two, the tkufa. You need that Pesach should come out after Tkufas Nisan, after the equinox, right? When Aviv begins, when spring begins, in astronomical terms, when the sun hits the point of what we call Mazel Tleh, it should be that Mekudah of spring. That's when Pesach should be. And if not, if it's not going to happen, if spring is going to bring it to Zayin Nisan, they're going to add extra 4 weeks, an extra month. So Pesach is delayed, it should be in Aviv. Another thing they need is the fruits should be ripe by Shavuos. The fruit should be ripe by Shavuos. And then there were other different cheshbonis, small things that they used to add as support. So you would think you could do the same thing with a month. And you would even make a kal v'chomer. Madach Besdin can add a month. For sure they can add a day. If they can add 4, they can add 30 days, they can add 1 day. That's what you would think, yeah? Talmud Loimar says the Braisa, no. The pasuk says HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodesh. What's Pshat HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodeshim? So Chachamim said, Kozer Re'ei V'Kadesh. Look at something like this and sanctify the new month. Remember the pasuk in Boy, HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodesh, the first mitzvah that the Jewish people received, mamash, the first mitzvah that Klal Yisrael receives when they're still in Mitzrayim is, Hashem says this month should be the head of the months. Rishon ulachem l'chodesh Hashanah. The question is, the pasuk is a redundant pasuk. It says twice, this month should be the beginning of the months. It should be the first of all the months. Why do you say it twice? So Chazal said the pasuk means two separate things. The second half of the pasuk is saying that Nisan is the first month. Rishon ulachem l'chodesh Hashanah. The first half of the pasuk is saying a halach. The halach is HaChodesh Hazeh. Hashem points to the new moon, to the Moilad. It was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and he points to that tiny, tiny little moon that appears in the skies on Rosh Chodesh, what we call Rosh Chodesh. In other words, when the moon is starting its orbit again, and he says HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodeshim. When you see this chidush, when you see this chadash, when you see this new moon, this becomes the new day of the month, the head of the month. Kazerei. When you see this, v'kadosh, make it a holy day. Rosh Chodesh is a holy day. Kazerei v'kadosh. What is the Braisa trying to say? The Braisa is trying to say when you see the new moon, you have to make Rosh Chodesh that day, and you can't push it off. You have a need. You have a need. So here's the problem. If Elul was really 30 days, then you don't have to tell me vegetables and dead people. Don't know vegetables and dead people. Elamai, you're telling me they saw the moon. They saw the moon. Therefore, Elul was supposed to be 29 days. Day 30 is supposed to be Rosh Hashanah. And then they said, but we have a problem. The problem is nobody's going to have vegetables. Rosh Hashanah is going to be on what's it called? On Wednesday, let's say. Let's say Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Wednesday. We'll do both reasons. And therefore, you have a problem of Meisayim. You have a problem of Yarkaya. Fine. So they're going to delay it to Thursday. What do you mean? The Braisa says this doesn't work this way. A leap year, yes. A leap month, no. That's the big question on this whole story that Ula is telling us that they did Ibur. Why did they do Ibur? For the benefit of Bnei Bavel. Omar Rava. Other Rishonim, Rabbi Chananel is Goydes. Rabba, we'll soon see why, because Rava comes in later. So we'll say Omar Rabba. Rabba said, Loi Kash. There's a big difference. There's no contradiction. Kan la'abroi, v'kan la'kachoi. There's a big difference. What they allowed in the times of Ula to do is la'abroi, to make Elul 30 days. V'kan la'kachoi. When the Braisa says Bezdin doesn't have a right to do it, it's not to make it Ibur. It's to be at Mekadesh on day 30 when there's no reason for it.
Passive and one's active.
Right, one is passive and one is active. Good Agdara. In other words, if the Eidos come and day 30, they could say, you know what, let's keep them quiet. And de facto, Rosh Chodesh will be the next day. As long as Bezin is not Makadosh the Chodesh, they're not Makabel the Eidos, okay, Rosh Chodesh will be the next day. So to delay it, they can delay it. The Braisa said, HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Kazerei v'Kadosh. So Kazerei v'Kadosh means I can't turn day 30 into Rosh Chodesh without seeing the moon. Saying there's no moon, we didn't see the moon, but we're doing it anyway, that not, the Braisa says. But here, they did see the moon. They're just doing it a day late. They did see the moon. Kazerei v'Kadosh, we saw the new moon. It's not a stira to Kazerei v'Kadosh. If we make the month on day 30 when it's not supposed to be day 30, for example, the moon is not visible, there was no Kazerei v'Kadosh. If we do it on day 31, okay, we delayed the Kiddush, but we saw the moon. At least there's a new moon. Kazerei and v'Kadosh. We made Kaddish the next day. So it's already not a stira to the pasuk. That's the big Kiddush in the Gemarah Rabba's answer.
The Mishnah used this word.
Huh?
When did they see the moon?
29.
They saw the moon, say 29 at night.
Yeah.
Say they saw the moon 29 at night, or 30 in the morning, early morning.
So he's saying what? That we don't care for that and we push it off.
So you're saying if what's going to happen is Rosh Hashanah is going to be on a Wednesday, day 30 is Wednesday, so Bezdin comes and says we have a problem. Yom Tif near Shabbos is going to create a crisis. People are going to be hungry. People are going to be hungry. So we'll tell the Eidos, you know.
Wait in the
Yeah, go daven by the Kaisel for the day.
And when is the opposite? What is the opposite?
The opposite would be fakert. Right now, yeah, if Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Thursday, if Rosh Hashanah is gonna be on day 31, Eidos are not coming. Or maybe they don't see a new moon, it's cloudy. Or maybe they know you're not going to see the new moon based on astronomical calculations that we're going to learn soon. Yeah? They say there's a problem. What's the problem? The problem is if we let things play out naturally, which means Rosh Hashanah is going to be a day late. Yeah? So Rosh Hashanah was supposed to be on Tuesday if everything would have been normal. But because there's no moon, Rosh Hashanah is going to be Wednesday. And they say, oh my God, this is a problem. Day 31 is Wednesday. They say, you know what? Let's make Rosh Hashanah day 30.
Even it didn't come.
Even though it didn't come, we'll make it. This Brisa holds no. There's going to be other shittas soon. This is a big argument here. But this is what this Brisa holds. Rabbi is saying there's no contradiction. Why is no contradiction? The Brisa says you can't make it a day early. Because Zera Eva Kaddish. But a day late, fine. There was a Riyah Salavana. That's the Chiddush of Rabbi. A big Chiddush.
Even if the Mishnah said me'abrin,
Huh?
don't say mekatchin.
That's the difference. Kan la'abroi, kan la'katshoi. La'abroi means to add a day to Elul. La'katshoi means to minimize a day, to sanctify day 30. Understand? Look in Rashi. Kazer Eva Kaddish. Kishem shem abnes hashana l'tzoyrich. Mipnei ha'aviv. Hatkufa. Upeides ha'ilon. Three things. Kedisa upeida kama de Sanhedrin. Aviv means what? It should be spring. The grain should be growing. Tkufa means astronomically it should be spring. You need two springs. You need practically spring. Zalhab and Tvua. You need astronomically spring. That's called the Tkufa, right? And the next thing is Perasila. Kazer Eva Kaddish. Kivan Shatira Kaddish Boy Bayoim. And for the Gemarah La'abra, Ilasas as a Chaser Malay L'Tzayrich Mutter. To make the Chaser Malay, to make a missing month, a full month, 29, 30, you're allowed to if you need to. Even though they came. L'katshay b'yom shloishim ba'levana loyniris. L'katshay on day 30 when they didn't see the moon. V'im yamtinu yem ad yoyim machar. And if you wait for another day, Yeh Shabbos v'im HaKippurim smuchin gewalt. Shabbos and Yom Kippur are going to be near each other. Why? Because Rosh Hashanah is going to be on a Wednesday. So they say, let's make it Tuesday. Ein mekatsha l'tzayrich. This is the Chiddush of the Brisa, so you can't. There's going to be problems with dead people and vegetables. You're right. We can't always fix all the problems. There's going to be a problem according to this shitta. To delay, yeah. To make early, no. That's this shitta. Okay. 10 lines from the bottom. Chafam Rav. Okay, let's recall the sugya. Ullah said, when he arrived from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, he said to them that Bezdin decided to make Elul 30 days. And our friends will never even understand, do they really understand the benefit? What was the benefit? So the Gemara explains two opinions, either food element, vegetables, Yarkaya, or Rabacha said Messiah. Either for the living or for the dead, but there was a tremendous benefit for the Bnei Bavel, as the Gemara says at the end, where there's less air than in the Holy Land, and therefore things rot faster, they decompose in a swifter pace due to the climate in Bavel, which is very low, Lagabe Eretz Yisrael. So the fact that Rosh Hashanah was delayed by a day, which as a result of that, what happened was, there was a break between Yom Kippur and Shabbos. So no dead person would decompose by just lying around for 2 days. And there was a break between Yom Tov and Shabbos. So no vegetables would be ruined. This is what the Gemara said. And discussing the differences between the two views, Yerkayo, Messiah, because according to the view of Messiah, he's not worried about vegetables. He says you can ultimately soak it in warm water. It's not the end of the world. It's not like people are going to starve. And therefore he ultimately feels that when you're dealing with Yom Tov and Shabbos, which by Yom Tov there's a heter to use a Gentile to bury the dead, so you don't have an issue. The issue would be Yom Kippur and Shabbos. Stama ha'ara lahalacha. we assume the second opinion, that it's Mishum Esaya, it's for the dead, and therefore we're worried primarily about Yom Kippur coming out before Shabbos or after Shabbos, Yom Kippur being Friday, Yom Kippur being Sunday. And thus, in our calendar, the way it was established permanently, we say Loy Adu Rosh. Rosh Hashanah will never be on a Sunday, or on a Wednesday, or on a Friday. If Rosh Hashanah is on a Wednesday, automatically Yom Kippur is going to be on a Friday. It's going to be right before Shabbos. If Rosh Hashanah is on a Friday, that means Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday, because Yom Kippur is always 2 days after, right? Rosh Hashanah is Aleph Tishrei, so Rosh Hashanah is Friday, so the next Friday would be Ches Tishrei, a week later plus a day, the 8th day, and then Shabbos would be 9, and Sunday would be, Yom Kippur would be 10 Tish. Our Yom Kippur is going to be on Shabbos. We have Yom Kippur on Shabbos, but we don't have Rosh Hashanah on Wednesday or Friday, which means Yom Kippur will not be Friday, Yom Kippur will not be Sunday. If Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, so Rosh Hashanah is always the first day of Sukkot, as we said. Now, if we say there's no problem of Yarkaya, that wouldn't be an issue. So Sukkot is the first day of Sunday. I'm not talking about today when there are refrigerators, and we're not worried about the vegetables. I'm talking even then when they didn't have refrigeration, before they discovered the electricity and everything that came with it, and the whole industrial revolution in the 1800s. But the issue with, if you say Mishum Messiah, we're not worried if Sukkot is Sunday. Why? Because even if there's a mace Chas v'Shalom on Shabbos, you can use a guy to bury him on Sunday, and therefore the mace won't decompose even before the morgues and the freezers. But there's another cheshbon here that's brought in Masechta Sukkah, and that is that the Chachamim did not want that Hoshana Rabbah should be Chol b'Shabbos. Because if Hoshana Rabbah would be on Shabbos, so then the minig of Hoshanas would be bottled, called Yom HaRava, it would be bottled. And if Rosh Hashanah is going to be on a Sunday, so then you'll make the cheshbon. The first day of Sukkot is going to be on Sunday. The 7th day of Sukkot is going to be on Shabbos, Hoshana Rabbah. Because they didn't want Yom HaRava to be bottled, they were very makbid on Yom HaRava that it should always be. There's different reasons for it. One reason is Al Pi Pshat, because the Tzdukim fought it, the Sadducees fought it, because it doesn't say clearly in Chumash the concept of they would bring the Aravis every day to the Beis HaMikdash and put them by the Mizbeach, and they would circle the Mizbeach with the Aravis, and Hoshana Rabbah, the 7th day, which we call Hoshana Rabbah, they would circle 7 times. Just like we do a Zeicher for this in Shul, we circle the Bima once with our Dalad Minim, and then Hoshana Rabbah we circle 7 times, and we clap Arava. Okay, that's a Minig Nevi'im, but they did not want it should be Nizbatel, it should be nullified. On Shabbos it would have been nullified, and hence they made Rosh Hashanah should not be Sunday. So from this is the cheshbon Loy Adu Rosh. As we'll see later, there's a whole different reason why they didn't want Rosh Hashanah to be Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, according to the Rambam, and that has to do with pure astronomy. Nothing to do with vegetables, nothing to do with dead people, nothing to do with Hoshana Rabbah. Absolute astronomy. In other words, it was inherent to the calendar. It wasn't stam for social cheshbonis. They decided to manipulate the calendar. No, punkt farket. All these cheshbonis are extra credit. Why it works out this way? But for pure astronomical, authentic purposes, we're going to learn. We're going to get to this. The Rambam explains in Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh. That's why they made this cheshbon. Okay, but I'll pop on him here. The way the Gemarah explains it is this was the takana, and this is the yisoid of Lo Yadu Rosh. Of course, if according to Ula, Rosh Hashanah can't be Sunday, because then Sukkot is going to be on Sunday, and if Sukkot is on Sunday, you have a problem with vegetables. According to the second shitta, that wouldn't be a problem.
Had a problem with that over
Nesechamayim and Arava. Yeah, not Arava in the lulav. Arava as a separate.
Not only a Shana, but the whole
right. Yeah. I got into Maisa Masechta Sukkah. They were fighting it. They once hid the Aravas. They came to the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara says they hid the Aravas under the stones, and the Amoritz came and removed the stones and took out the Aravas. It was a lebedike machloikas. It was a lebedike pash. So the Gemara now addresses a problem. What's the problem? Ula says glata kahet that the Chachamim added a day to Elul. Why did they add it? The Sanhedrin added a day to Elul, and there was a tremendous benefit for the community, and the people in Bavel should be thankful. Apparently, if you say that they were ma'aber Elul, which was a chiddush, because usually Elul was not ma'aber, the Gemara says l'chayre there's a problem. It sounds like the reason they did it was not because witnesses didn't come, right? Because if the reason is that witnesses didn't come, then the Lula wouldn't say the people of Bavel should be so grateful. Why should they be so grateful? We didn't do anything for that. We had no choice. We were ma'aber Elul. It's mashma that this was intentional. They delayed it intentionally. They didn't have to delay it astronomically or according to the basic principles of Kiddush HaChodesh. This is already a big Kiddush here. So that means there's an intervention here with the regular process, which is basically what the sugya deals with. How much intervention is allowed? Now this is a very complicated thing because if you're sticking to the strict rules, to the strict principles, okay, witnesses come, they don't come, and that's it. There's no other cheshbonos. But suddenly, there's other calculations here. There's other motives here. What are the limits? What are the limits? That's the sugya here. So the first question the Gemara asks on Ula is that Rabbi Bar Shmuel brought a brisa, and the brisa said, "Don't compare Ibur HaChodesh to Ibur HaShana. A leap year, they can add a month when there's a need for it." Let's remember, adding a month doesn't play with astronomy. Adding a month just adds another month. You're not playing with astronomical calculations. You're using another orbit of the moon and you're just keeping it in this year, right? You understand? When you add a month, you didn't manipulate anything in reality. So we have a second other. It would have been this and we're calling it other. Okay, big deal.
Also, Chodesh is the mitzvah is not affected.
Right, the mitzvah is not affected. Yeah, you're not dealing... So the Brisa says, don't compare the two. If you need to add a month, add a month. If you need to add a day, if you need to do Ibur HaChodesh, that we don't do. Why? Because Re'eva Kaddish, you need a moon. HaChodesh Hazeh Lechem, Kazeh Re'eva Kaddish. This is the problem. Here we suddenly see, no, they added a day. So Rava said, and as I said, there are so many Rishonim Agoris Rabba said, the Brisa says, what the Brisa means is they can't be Mekadesh, they could be Ma'aber. Meaning, they can't turn day 30 into the Chodesh automatic without seeing the moon. But if they need to add a day, that works. What's the cheshbon? Rashi says, Kozer Re'eva Kaddish. Rosh Chodesh has to be after you see the moon. I can't say, today is day 30, I want it to be Rosh Chodesh. There's no moon. You can't see the moon, perhaps. There's no witnesses that they saw the moon. We're doing it anyway. That's not the bright says, Kozer Re'eva Kaddish. But once I saw the moon, okay, I do it a day later. Okay, I'm not doing it the day I saw the moon, I'm doing it a day later. That can work. Of course, not because they woke up in the morning and they don't like the day, for a reason. For example, this reason of Yarkayo Messiah. So Mele it works. Ula's story does not contradict this brisa. We have a consistency in halach. That's what Rava said. So let's see now. Amar Rabba, Rava, loy kashe kan la'abre kan la'katche. V'hachi ka'amar. This is how you have to explain the brayse. Yochel k'shem shema'abnes hashana v'es hachodesh. It's as though words are missing. See, in the original brayse it said, Yochel k'shem shema'abnes hashana l'tzoyrech kach ma'abnes hachodesh l'tzoyrech. No way, hachodesh hazal lechem. Rabbi is saying no, you have to read in. There's like missing words in the brayse. It's like we often say chisure mechser in a Mishnah. Doesn't mean the words are missing, but it means like there's a gap. You have to you have to put in some words. Yochel kashem shema'abrinas hashana ves hachodesh l'tzoyrech kach mekachinas hachodesh l'tzoyrech. I would think just like you're allowed to make a leap year if you have to, and you're allowed to make a leap month if you have to. You can also sanctify a new month if you have to. What do we mean? Ibur means adding a day. Kiddush means taking off a day, making it a day early even though we don't have a basis for it, because the moon is not visible, witnesses have not come, and what if even it can't be visible according to calculations? That you can't, you would think you could do that too. Talmud loymar, ha-chodesh hazeh lachem. Rosh Chodesh has to be only when there's chodesh hazeh. As Rashi explains, already in Parshas Boy, Chazal explained that Heireyu HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe Chidush HaLevana, the Rebbeinu Shalom shows Moshe HaChodesh, Hazeh. Whenever you say Hazeh, as Rashi says, it's Marabetz Boy V'Omer Zeh, you're pointing to something, right? Zeh means, it's right here, like Zeh Keli V'Anveyu, etc. So Marabetz Boy V'Omer Zeh, he's pointing to this new moon, and he says, Kazeh, Re'ei, you see something like this, V'Kadesh, that's when you make your new month. I can't make day 30 Rosh Chodesh if I didn't have the Kazer Re'eva Kaddish according to this price.
So now the today, the Moiled will always have to be before Rosh Chodesh. It can be a day before, but it has to be before Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah.
But not more than a day, right? Like a day
That's going to be the next sugya. That's Chaf Hamad Beis. How it works in terms of the Moilot.
Because if I can push one day, I can push 2 days.
Right. So we know Rosh Chodesh can either be day 30 or day 31, not before now.
If it doesn't work for the situation, if I'm allow you to do it something, I'm giving you permission to do it.
You want to make Rosh Chodesh in the middle of Chanukah?
I don't know. If you're allowed to move one day, why not today? Usually, if I said Kazere v'Kadesh, Kazere, Kadesh, right away. You come home Friday night, you make Kiddush. Because this is what we said.
Kazere,
v'Kadesh.
you come home, you see the house, v'Kadesh, you make Kiddush.
That's it, you make Kiddush. So now what we said about that?
The Amshinova holds different. I don't know when he makes Kiddush. Take a look in Rashi. Huh?
$90 wine that I know.
Yeah.
Take
why I'm opening the ballot before.
Look at the Rashi. Yochel kashem shamabim l'chtzorich kach mekatschen l'tzorich. Talmud loimer kazer eve kaddish. Re'eit chila v'acha kach kaddish. First see, and then be mekaddish. Don't be mekaddish without seeing. Avol kshata ma'abroi re'eve kaddish. If you're making Rosh Chodesh a day later, you saw and you did Kiddush. In other words, Kazer Re'eh Kaddish means first Re'eh, then Kaddish. So you can't compare Ibur to Kiddush. Kiddush, I'm doing without Re'eh, unless I had witnesses. I can't do that with Tzorech. I want Rosh Hashanah to be a day early, I don't want it to be a day later. Why? Let's say Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Friday, I want Rosh Hashanah to be on Thursday. I don't want it to be on Friday. I can't. I can't make Rosh Hashanah on Thursday. Day 29 is Wednesday. I can't make Rosh Hashanah on Thursday. I need my witnesses. I need to be able to see my moon. But if Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Friday, I want to make it on Shabbos. That I can do. Why? Rashi says, according to this Brisa, the Pshat is, Re'eh has to come before Kaddish. HaChodesh Hazeh before Rosh Chodashim. Rosh Chodesh is based on HaChodesh Hazeh. Because they're Re'eh and then it's Kaddish. Here there was Re'eh and Kaddish. It was just the Kaddish was a couple hours later, or a day later. That's how he explains it. According to this, right? I can't always deal with that. I do my best, but I can't.
Which scenario will be where you can, if Thursday as well?
In other words, Rosh Hashanah is on Friday. I want to make it on Thursday.
Why can't you do Ibur and do it on Saturday?
No, Ibur is Friday.
Ibur is Friday.
Yeah. I want to make it Thursday.
No moon.
I have no moons. According to this Brisa, you wouldn't be able to. That's how the Gemarah is explaining Ula. Ula wasn't just saying they do whatever they want. Now you also have to remember, even when we say Ibur, you can't do Ibur 2 days.
I have a question. I don't know if it's so related.
There's a system of 29 and 30. That system is based, as we're going to see in the next Amid, on the orbit of the moon. The orbit of the moon doesn't finish after 29 days. It finishes after 29 and a half days. So it's not so simple when you're supposed to make Rosh Chodesh. If you make Rosh Chodesh every single month on day 30, which seems like the right way to do it, you're being dishonest. You're missing a half a day. It's not true. The orbit did not finish. The orbit did not finish at the end of 29 and the beginning of 30. That's not the case. You need another 12 hours. Rosh Chodesh, the Torah says, can't be a half a day. I can't make a half a day, Rosh Chodesh, half a day, not Rosh Chodesh. So essentially, in the ideal, perfect situation, it's 6 months 29 and 6 months 30. So you do understand that Ibur HaChodesh is part of the astronomical necessity. Right? It's not like they're making Rosh Chodesh 10 days later because they want Rosh Chodesh. It's all based on the Levana.
I have a question. Based on, if it's 29 and a half days, the cycle, so then
Plus, and change.
Okay, so then let's say 3 months in a row, you have a cloudy night. And then, so they have to make it every 3 months in a row. Then you'll never have Eidim for Rosh Chodesh anymore. You'll always be off. How do you fix that?
There's a little bit, that's to be 8 Malay, no, and
we're going to see in a few moments.
You can't make it early without saying that Eidim.
According to this Brisa, you're saying. We'll soon see another shit.
Get back on track.
they force it back on track.
Why would they
You
not
can't make it.
come
You said
in
with
only
the breast, you
for
can't
You
make
need
it
a moon.
early.
You need a moon.
You won't have a moon on Rosh Chodesh. You'll never have a moon.
You don't need a moon because you have Rosh Chodesh on cloudy days. I mean, you don't need a moon.
Today, but I'm saying.
You have a limit. There's a limit. It's 29.
Well, we're saying according to this verse, you can't make it without.
Yeah, today you don't need a moon, but on 29 you got a moon.
You want to know, according to this brisa, what they would do if it was months after months after months of...
Months in a row. You'll never have Rosh Chodesh. Will be on.
There's no moles until you run out of moles.
You're saying Rosh Chodesh, you're going to see a whole moon on Rosh Chodesh. You see what you're saying?
I'm saying you'll never be able to get it back on track.
You want to have this 12 months where it's cloudy.
Even 3 months if it's cloudy, then the new moon will not be on Rosh Chodesh.
So they're always delaying.
So then it will be Chav Hey, Chavav, Chav Zayin.
That's why
you catch up.
That's why
how will you catch up? But you can't make it.
Because you
That's
do
why
it
can't make it
30,
29.
30, and when you get to 8:30s, you jump back to 29, and that's the way
You
it
can't.
works.
do
You can't.
29.
He said you can't.
You can't do
The
it.
Brisa said you
You're
can't.
saying according to this brisa. You're saying according to this brisa
No moon, you cannot.
that you
According
cannot
to
do
this
it.
bright,
Okay.
you can't do it.
That doesn't mean that on the 30th day you make Rosh Chodesh, but
can't
it's
make
still
Rosh Chodesh.
controlled by other things. It's not, doesn't
No, I
stand
think you
alone.
can.
There's no way
But
this
if it's
can.
every month,
There will not
and
be
you
this.
cannot make it the entire
You
month
can't make it every
29.
month, but also you can't make every month 30. You can't do that.
But you'll be forced to. That's
You're not forced to do it because it's the same
But there's
rules that
will
say
not be
do this.
witnesses.
The
What
rules
is it going to be
say.
for? Because there is no.
It could be that he would hold. It could be that he would hold that if it's possible to see the moon, based on the astronomical calculations, even though in physicality you can't see it, so it's already the Eva Kaddish.
That
It's
would
already
be
after
every
the
month.
year.
Then that would be every month. You would be
So in
able
other
to
words,
see it.
if not, if you couldn't see the moon after the Moiled,
That's the question. Why shouldn't they see it? Only because it's
That's
cloudy
another
or
one.
because it's not
no, that's what I'm
there?
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What?
Sometimes you can't see it.
What do you mean?
Be'etzem.
What do you mean you can't? It's not
too
there.
soon.
It's too soon. It's in the position
Well, you
where
can't.
even if the weather was
Clear.
impeccable, you wouldn't be able to see it.
Uh-huh.
Or it's a situation where you would be able to see it, your vision is blocked. I'm saying that's a very big difference. That it could be that's how the Brisa would learn. In such a situation, you could rely on that, even though there's no edus.
Then they would be able to make it.
Right.
Or they could go
To solve his problem. It's a big problem, he's saying. You have bad weather again and again and again and again and again. You're going to be completely off. What are you going to do now? So forever you're going to be off. Suddenly your Chodesh is going to be in the middle of Purim.
There's no way in a bad weather where you could go somewhere else or see the world somewhere else.
And those days, today you could not go into an airplane. You send the witnesses, you send 2 edus on an airplane. Mashiach comes, we're going to go back to Chodesh HaChodesh HaPiri. There won't be an issue. Go into a spaceship, you send them to the moon. And they'll cable back from the moon. I don't know if there could be Haggadah edus from the moon.
They're gonna take a
From the
picture of
moon,
the
they'll
iPhone.
say, oh, well, here it is. You don't believe me, here's a moon.
No, that's the end.
But then, what you're saying you have to be away from the moon to see the moon.
Right.
Right.
We'll have a live feed.
And over there, it's always full. It's not a moilet anymore. If you're on the moon, it's so beautiful. L'chayra, that's how I would say pshat. So this is the shit of this brisa. So Rabbi gave an answer. He gave an answer. He says, okay, so Ula b'meila, Ula is right. It's not a problem in halacha that they were what? That they were ma'aber es hachodesh, l'tzayrach. Fine.
And the Chachamim can do that even if they know that according to calculation it's wrong.
According to calculations, yeah, there's witnesses who saying we could tell you there's a moon, and they'll say, shh,
No.
shh, we want Rosh Hashanah a day later. That's what the price is saying. Shh. Go daven and come back. Say Tillim, and then you'll come back to Bezdin. It'll already be Shkia, and it's over. Remember, once the day 30 ends, now there's no Haggadah Sedus anymore, right? Now it's automatically Mu'uber. So if you can just push over the Edus a little bit. Now they're not doing this because they're in a bad mood. They're doing this
Because
Yeah.
of the situation.
The Pnei Yeshua asks, where did the Chazal even invent this concept that they have such an authority? The Torah says Kazerei v'Kaddish. So why don't you just stick to the basic principle? Like, okay, there's a problem of vegetables and dead people, but where did they find in a pasuk anywhere a heter? Oh, so we're going to learn later that we learn that whatever they do is mekudesh b'di'evet, right? In other words, even if they make a mistake, and we know it's a mistake, there's going to be a whole story of Chafeirim, Gamliel, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yeshua, Gansa Maisa. Rabbi Yeshua knew it was a mistake, and Rabbi Akiva said it's fine. You could desecrate Yom Kippur because Bezdin decided on the Yom Kippur. But that's b'di'evet. A Bezdin doesn't sit down and say, let's make mistakes. B'di'evet, a real Bezdin, we're talking about a real Sanhedrin, that's Al Pi Torah, makes a mistake. Torah says, the same God who said, Because Rebbe Kaddish said what Bezdin says is good. We're asking now what l'chatchila. When we're sitting down, we don't want to make mistakes. We want to do it. We want to do it Meker Adin. So he says, where did this Yisoid come up from? So the Pnei Yeshua says here in the Gemara, he says it seems to him that if Eidos actually came on day 30 and they testified, there's nothing you do about that. There's not. They testified. They testified that it's that they saw the moon. They testified. That's going to be.
Then you make Rosh Hashanah on Sunday.
You'll make Rosh Hashanah whenever. Yeah, you'll make Rosh Hashanah. If that system happened, you so to speak forced by it. You're forced. You do it that way. He says that's l'chayra davabara. Elamai. Sometimes you have a situation that didn't happen. There's no Eidos, or the Eidos are delayed, or they delay the Eidos intentionally. They know still, mathematically and astronomically, that there could be Eidos today, and the Eidos are not lying, because they know that the moon is a visible moon, because it's enough time that you would be able to see the moon, whether there's no clouds or there is clouds, but they can see the moon. So now, l'cha'ira here, you would think, since they know that this is what's supposed to be, so you're forced to make this Rosh Chodesh. That's the Chiddush, that if there's a tzorich, you could say, you know what, even though we know that Yom Shloshim halachically is the right Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because we know that the moon is visible, or even more than that. Eidos are already here, and we could listen to them. We could listen to them. They haven't said anything, but if we see there's a major tzorich in this situation, we say ma'abrin es ha-chodesh l'tzorich. You could delay it a day. But once Eidos came and said Haggadah Eidos, he says then you wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to manipulate that. Al-Kabon, that's his order. So now we have this Braisa that is answered according to Rabbah. You can delay it, you can't make it a day early. V'chihad da'amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. This is consistent with a statement by Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. What did Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi say? Ma'aymin al ha'edim al ha'chodesh shenira bizmanei la'abroi. Ma'aymin means, how does he say ma'aymin? You threaten?
You intimidate.
Interesting. You intimidate witnesses al ha'chodesh shenira bizmanei, who come for the month, who come for the new moon, which was visible in its time. What's bizmanei? Day 30. 29 at night. La'abroi, because you want to delay it. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said you can intimidate them. Zokrashi, what does it mean intimidate? B'yom shloshim, they saw the moon on day 30, sheyachrishu. They should be quiet. B'shvil la'abroi, because you want to delay it. You can intimidate them to remain quiet, because you have a tzorich. But Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, ve'ein ma'aymin ala eidim ala chodesh shaloi nira b'zman elakacha. But you can't intimidate Eidos on a new moon that did not show up on day 30 because you want it to be on 30. That Rashi says, "Ve'ein ma'aymin b'yom shloshim," on day 30, al ha'edim shaloiro, on witnesses that did not really see an accurate moon. V'anan tzrichim l'katshoy hayom k'dei lahafrid Shabbos me'em ha'kippurim, and we're desperate that today should be Rosh Hashanah. Why? Let's say Rosh Hashanah is what on Shabbos. Rosh Hashanah is on Friday. And so if Rosh Hashanah is on Friday, Yom Kippur is going to be Sunday, and we're desperate. So we want to make Rosh Hashanah on Thursday. So we tell the Eidos, you did see. Sheyoimru ra'inu, we do not intimidate them to say we saw, v'ya'idu sheker. And they should testify what is...
Who are they going to tell them?
That's a good question. At least here it says not to do it. The problem is going to be in a few lines where there's going to be another shit that you do it. That's going to be the problem. So let's discuss it then. At least here we're saying don't do it. Seems like a joke, right?
They even came to Bessin. They're not sure what they saw.
That
has to be what's going on. You don't
right.
Import Adam.
Exactly. What do we say? Very good. What is Rashi saying? Ma'aymin al Eidim where? You tell two people, you go to the supermarket, you say, come. Let's lie. But at this point, what are we? Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi saying? Let's understand the limits. The limits are, Eidos came. We say, shh, intimidate them. What do we mean intimidate them? Intimidate them doesn't mean through terrorism. Intimidate could mean two things. Either you create a situation where they're quiet, or you create a situation where the investigation is so intense that the Eidos say, you know what? Forget about this. I don't know what I saw. They doubt themselves. That's what intimidation doesn't mean. In other words, they want that the Eidos should not say clearly because the Eidos have a koyach.
It means to confuse them.
The word is to sow doubt, that they should be uncertain. They say, I don't know. Once they say, I don't know, I don't know. Fine. So we see here, Rabbi Shua ben Levi makes the same distinction. So Ula works, because Ula didn't say they made Rosh Hashanah a day early, so they made Rosh Hashanah a day late. Frag the Gemarah, now we have a very different shit, which becomes difficult. Eini, this is not the case. You're explaining a brisa that was quoted by who? By Rabbi Bar Shmuel. And you explained Ula this way. Eini. It's not this case. It's not this way. V'hashalach le Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya le Rabami. Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, not to confuse with Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, the editor of the Mishnah, because this is generations later. It's a great, it's a descendant of his. So Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya sent a message to Rabbi Ami. Listen to his message. Heavy Yoidin, you should know. Shekol Yomav Shel Rabbi Yochanan. Throughout all the days of Rabbi Yochanan, Hayim Alamdeinu. Rabbi Yochanan is the first generation of Amayroyim in Eretz Yisrael, who's the editor of Talmud Yerushalmi. Rabbi Yochanan used to teach us, Ma'aymin, if you need to, Ma'aymin hala edim ala chodesh shaloi nira bizmane lekatche. Punkt farket. Punkt farket. You can intimidate Edis that they should come to testify on the Chodesh, on the new moon, which was not visible in its time, lekatche, to make it holy. Afal pisha loira uhu yomru ra'inu. Even though they didn't see it, they should say we saw it, and day 30 should become Rish Chodesh. Clearly, Rabbi Yochanan was mated to be Mekadesh the Chodesh before the right time, on day 30 instead of day 31, if you need to. The exact opposite of what Rabbi told us. Rabbi just explained, or Rava just explained, there's no way you can do this. Rabbi Yochanan, all of his life, taught us the other way. So we have here a contradiction. But now we first have to understand the words of Rabbi Yochanan. What does this mean? What's the point? First of all,
I mean, the point is the point.
do it. Right. If you're having them lie, do it without Edis. Right? Do without it. What is this? Does this mean that you're simply inventing a lie, not according to halacha, and the Gemara is putting it in as a halacha? I mean, where do you have a constitution that say, by the way, we're lying, but this is what we do? I mean,
they came and they say one thing, I'm not sure of ourselves, and it has to be that way, both cases. You don't invite people into lying.
And Bechlal, we are these Edis. We are Edis here. Who are these Edis that you're ma'aymin on? In the first case, you have Edis who come, so you say you don't want them to speak till tomorrow. Who are the Edis here?
No, you could, if you're a professional artist, you could say such and such a time, be looking in this direction.
Right.
Whatever you want to say, how much do you want it to be? No.
They basically wants it to be early. They can send professional artists.
You're not allowed to take same shot of what Gemarah said.
So Rabbeinu Chananel, you have Rabbeinu Chananel on the left, probably in small. The last line of Rabbeinu Chananel, you see? Not the last line, the first line of the wide lines in Rabbeinu Chananel. You see the first line of his wide lines. It's narrow and then it becomes wide. He says, "V'chihada Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi." You see, "Ma'aymin alayhu k'dei lachzer behen v'lo yuskaimu divreim v'yabru yitzturich lebezdin." You want they should retract their words. This is Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. They should be uncertain so we could delay Rish Chodesh. Next. Ve'ein ma'aymin ala edim ala chodesh shaloi nira bizmanoi v'hu le'lamed keloimar. Listen to his words. Ein ma'aymin oisan. We don't intimidate then. Loimar lehen. Hizaru. Be careful. Ve'eidu testify. Ki ahu shenira lechem ke'ein kuvisa halavana oisan. The Edis are like, we saw something. It could be, it was a cloud. So Bezdin says, no, it was a moon. That's what ma'aymin means. It's not the psuko take from the street aid. You take Edis, and they themselves, if you would just ask them a few questions, they would just back off. They came to be Mekadosh the Chodesh. But, sometimes you see a witness, professional lawyers, no. This witness, within a few questions, he's done. So, ma'aymin oisan means fakert. Not you intimidate them. You intimidate them by encouraging them. In other words, you want to... You lead them to that way. Why? Because they want Rosh Chodesh to be this. That's the Pshat Ma'aymanos. That's what he says. Umekatshinois yom shloishim im hutzruchu bezdin lechasurei. Elaloi terchinon alayu k'dei lekatsher by shloi nida bezmanik loy ma'abim v'loy mechazes every Shob and Levi. The other shitter, the Rabbi Yochanan's shitter is, no, you could do this. So when the Gemarah says loy ra'u, afbi shaloy ra'u, it doesn't mean they didn't see it. Right? They saw something. But they're going to. They might easily tell you that they didn't see it. On this, we encourage them, we lead them, we intimidate them to say we did see it, so we can make it a Chodesh. If not.
No, they made the parties. They were parties.
Oh yeah, they used to encourage. They used to encourage everybody to come. They used to encourage everybody to come. So this is already a different mahalach.
So you have to go around and try to find.
So Rabbeinu Chananel gives us a taich in this Gemara. It gives us a taich. Without this, you're making people lie. First of all, this is how Judaism works. I mean, who ever heard of such a thing? God says you need a new moon, and we're making people lie. And if you're making people lie, don't do it. You don't need to lie. Just do whatever you want. If terrorism, not terrorism, if deception reigns, do whatever you want. And don't make me halacha in Gemara. The halacha is that we lie. Obviously, I understand that Rabbeinu Chananel is muchrach l'chayr. I just want to add another word that the Pnei Yeshua adds here, to be it mamtik a little more. Pnei Yeshua adds, it's not just they manipulate the Eidos. You saw. Even though the Eidos themselves may not be so sure. Or at least you can easily get them to doubt themselves. Because they came to Bezdin because they have some certainty. It's not like they came to Bezdin because they don't have what to do with their lives. They came, but you could plant seed in them, so you could plant doubt in them, so you're saying don't plant doubt in them. He says it's even more than this. It's talking about a case where according to the astronomical calculations, they knew that the moon is visible. That's what happened. Maybe it's cloudy. Maybe very few people saw it. Maybe it was difficult. Maybe it showed up for 20 minutes. You have those situations. But they knew that the moilad happened already. Al pi ha'cheshbon. So the Pnei Yeshua says, if that's the case, let's understand. Yediyah, this is his lashon. Yediyah hareyu kiriyah. When it says kazer re'eh v'kadosh, what do they say? They say seeing is believing, right? But knowledge is a form of seeing. It's not seeing physically, but if I know the moon is supposed to be there, I know that everything is set up in heaven to make it Rosh Chodesh. So he says it's like seeing. So Bezdin would have the koyach, according to this shitta, to make it Rosh Chodesh. That's his vart.
They still need the Eidim. They still need the Eidim.
Maybe it's a thing, because if you wouldn't, then they wouldn't come next time. Maybe they wouldn't come in the future.
But they still need the Eidim.
That's what he says.
It's better. Mitzvah l'kadosh al pi re'iyah. Mitzvah l'kadosh al pi. It's better, of course, if you have Eidos, because you have physical re'iyah.
But according to that, you can't do it early without the Eidah.
Huh?
You can't do it early without the Eidah. So they do need the Kaddish.
So he is that the etzem Bezdin has that koyach to be mekadosh. If they know for sure that there's a real moon.
Then even early.
Even early. Not the shit of Rabbi Shubal Levi. Shubal Levi says no. Right? You don't, even if Eidos come, you're not ma'ayim on them. But here they have an opportunity, they know it. Yediyah re'eh kiriyah. That's the vart. Now, they usually won't do it. They usually will not do it. The Eidos are not sure, they're not sure. But here it's talking about Tzairich. Again, they're not happy to do this enthusiastically. They would like to do it in the most ideal sense. Eidos come, they're investigated, they say for sure, without any intervention. But if it's an issue of L'Tzairich, so here you'll have a situation, they will rely on their calculations. And the Eidos, who may say, we're not sure, they will encourage them to say that they saw, in order to be able to make it early.
They still have to know.
Yes. Exactly. That's what the Pnei Yeshua adds. Very interesting horror, he says. They have to know for sure that this is a real Rosh Chodesh, astronomically.
And they have to know that could have been able to see it.
What do they need Eidim for? What's up, shop? No,
Maybe they can do it even without it. They come, they
encourage
it.
You need Eidim then. You need Eidim anyway. It's like a kohen.
You mean for Mitzvah?
Yeah, it's like for dermatologist, a professional Mitzvah looking. wants to look and he says 100,000%.
Because they
No, you're right. Lechatchila you need edus, but it's not ma'akev b'di evet. That's the point. You're right.
maybe the mind.
Lechatchila you need
Nice
edus.
to say that.
But maybe when Shia can understand it, it's because Beden can make knowledge.
But he has to see it.
That's why today we can have Rosh Chodesh. Reb Avi, if it would be ma'akev b'di evet, we wouldn't be able to have Rosh Chodesh today. We don't have edus. I'm saying, but they don't have edus for every month. So it's not ma'akev b'di evet. Nobody. That's the word. Lechatchila, you're right. Of course we always want edus because they're Reva Kaddish.
It's very simple. If items are not coming at all, it's even better. But if they come, they should not destroy our cheshbonos.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's not that we need.
If edus don't come, they don't come. But if they come, we don't want them to destroy. Huh?
No, they don't come to the next day.
Right?
They get up, they look at
That's a part of mine item. That's also mine.
Despite knowing that it's really a chassid, it will make it a
Is there uncertain testimony better than no testimony at all?
You want to know if edus would not come at all, according to him, if you'd make Rosh Chodesh? Without anything else? Without anything else?
If we're having shaky testimony versus no
Since you're saying, according to this, according to the Pnei Yeshua, yeah, they have that koyach to be mekadosh the chodesh based on it, just like we do today. Again, not lechatchila, but the evet. Here you have edus, and the edus could ruin it for you also, right? When you're going to do a real investigation, so they won't make it worse, because all you'll have is having edus. They'll just say, okay, we don't have edus.
Mechal Shabbos for this day. If Besdin has that koyach, why would they Mechal Shabbos? Why would they eat the Mechal Shabbos? If Besdin could do this by themselves, I have to have some people, not just regular Mechal Shabbos. It was a constant Mechal Shabbos.
For the edus to come. For the edus to come.
What do they need? So Besdin said, you know what? The Mechal Shabbos is not necessary. They'll come, we'll take care of business.
For the edus to come. So the Rambam says in Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh, the reason is because Eila Moyadei Hashem Asher Tikru Oisam B'Moyadam. Whenever it says B'Moyadam, it's Doiche Shabbos. So therefore, those months, when it's Moyadim, when there's Moyadim, Nisan and Tishrei, Mechal Aleim Es HaShabbos.
But it says Mechal B'Zman HaMikdash Mechal.
For every Rosh Chodesh, because Me'Moyadam, because the carbon, because the Kodesh carbon. But even after the Beis HaMikdash, Nisan and Tishrei, because Moyados. So that's a din. Since the Torah does want there should be edus, that's the mitzvah, and that's doiche Shabbos when there's an inyan of moedas. That's how the Rambam teaches in Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh. Rashi said here, the mashmos and Rashi is that since Nisan and Tishrei's days of Yom Tovim, they wanted to make it as accurate as possible.
People should feel good about it.
No, ataka it should be in the Zman HaMoiled. So when you have vision, and that's the way to do it. The way to do it is with edus.
Now it's not about accuracy anymore because accuracy doesn't know on their own.
You're right.
Now it's just about doing it.
You're right, but they always try to do it with edus. You don't make day 30 without edus. That didn't happen. Theoretically, they know, yeah, but you don't make. You want to know if mamish no edus came, if they would still make it. Doesn't seem like it.
I want to know, didn't whole groups of people come?
Yes, many edus always
Is
came.
it possible that the base team will screen the people and pick out the ones
Of course.
that will give the answer?
They always screen them.
And they also
They pick out the ones that give the answer they were looking for.
Could be.
This
This is part of
If
it.
they wanted Rosh Chodesh to be early, they could
They
they
already
could send people to the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they wanted Rosh Chodesh to be early, they could send people to the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
could say, Lee here and this
Yeah.
is here.
So the question here is, does this not undermine Rabbah? Rabbah said you cannot make Rosh Chodesh a day early. Only delay it unless you really had edus. I don't care about your Litzayrich. And Rabbi Yochanan all of his life taught otherwise. All of his life taught otherwise. Now, you could say, Rabbah has a source of Yeshua ben Levi, and it's an argument with Rabbi Yochanan. It's gefährlich. You could say. Although the Ritva says that the Lashon, all of his life, it sounded like there wasn't an argument about this. Like this was a davar bar. Rabbah clearly has a whole different opinion. Or the Pshata is, the way the Ritva learns the Pshata is, how does Rabbi Yochanan deal with the Braisa? The Braisa clearly says, Ein ma'abernas hachodesh l'tzayrich. So, Rabbi said, I have a pshat in the Brisa. The Brisa means what? You can't make it a day early. You can make it a day later. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, he's contradicting a Brisa. The Brisa clearly said you can't. And Rabbi Yochanan says you always could. We have a problem here. And for the Gemarah, Amar Abaye, Loi Kasha. Habe Nissen v'Tishrei, Habe Shayach. Rabbi Yochanan was talking about Nissen and Tishrei. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Rabbi, is talking about other months. What's the word? Rashi says, B'Nissen v'Tishrei. Oh, Rashi before. Hayam alamdeinu ma'aymin imanu tzrichin la'asosei chaser. Again, this is not stam because you want Rosh Chodesh day 30. You need to make it chaser because of issues that are negeya. B'Nissen v'Tishrei shamayad is fluyen behen mekachin l'tzayrech. Nissen and Tishrei, the Yom Tovim are totally in them. So therefore, there may be pashtas. Therefore, there may be a problem of Yarkaya and Messiah. So then, Mekachin l'tzayrech. Then you can make it a day early. If Rosh Hashanah is going to be on Friday, make it day Thursday.
You can also make it later.
You can also make it later, of course.
I mean,
that everybody said.
You can also make it early.
You can make it early. That's what Rabbi Yochanan said. B'shar yarchiloi. Other months, no. So there's no problem. The Brisa Taka said you can't make it a day early. That was talking about other months. Rabbi Yochanan said you could make it a day early. That was talking about Nisan and Tishrei. Ula is not a problem. Ula anyway said they made it a day later. That's not a problem. Of course, everybody agrees to that. But even a day early, you don't have a major problem. First of all, Rabbi is not disagreeing with Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan wants Nisan and Tishrei. Rabbi Yochanan is not disagreeing with the Brisa. It's completely fine. Now the problem is, why would you want to make in other months a day early? I understand Rosh Hashanah. I understand Nisan. I'm afraid Yom Kippur, Shabbos, dead people, vegetables. I got it. What do I need Tevis? What do I care if Rosh Chodesh is a day later? So what? So Asar B'Tevis will be a day later? I mean, what do you care?
No, he's going to help me on Nisan.
Huh?
Maybe he's going to help stay on track.
He's going to help me to, yeah. And also he's going to help me to, for the morning. Later. I'm thinking now about later.
No, if the cheshbon is Yarkaya and Messiah, so that's a cheshbon in Nisan and Tishrei. What do you have to worry about that in Kislev and Tevis and Cheshvan?
I want to catch up.
What do I have to catch up?
I did 2 months, 3 months, 31.
It's like that. We'll have another month at the end.
I did 3 months, 31. I want to go back to 29 because...
Okay, so let's see what Rashi says. The answer is, it says in Erkin, you don't have less than 4 months mu'uber in a year. You can't have less than 4 months that are 30 days, and you shouldn't have more than 8 that have 30. If they already had, I think it's at, yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna go to 25. 25 of the month, you're gonna see the moon.
It gets very derailed.
Say it like that, right?
Yeah. V'im ibru shmoina. What happened if they already had 8 months with 30 days? Ubazel loy niris b'yom shloisha. Now you have a month. It's Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, Rosh Chodesh Kislev. It's day 30. You want to make it. You don't see a moon. Okay, not Kislev because it's already at the end of the year. You already did 8 months, so it's at the end of the year. Let's say it's Av Elul, and you don't see a moon on day 30. So now we would think we want to intimidate the witnesses to make Rosh Chodesh 30, so we don't have a 9th month of Rosh Chodesh on day 31. That's the Chiddush. No, other months don't do it. And this year you'll have 9 months. This year you'll have 9 months.
You know what's going to happen? Because next Chodesh is going to be about 28 days, but the month is going to be about 28 days.
In that case.
Yeah, if you have an 8 and you have a 9, now you're way off.
8 times 30 and 4 times 29, 56, 4 days off. A year.
No, you're not 4 days off. You have to have 6 months like this, 6 months like this. You're not 4 days off.
If it's 8 months and 4 months,
2 days off.
No, you don't. That's why you do it. That's what he's saying. Not saying that we have 9 months.
No, so that's what we're saying. Other months you can do it. You would, but B'shar Yarchi Loif, actually, why would you even want to do it? So Rashi says, I'll tell you why you would want to do it.
But you can't do it.
but you still can
But
you still can't do it.
You could do the Avon. One you can do.
La'aber, no. La'aber, fine. We're talking about
Lechas.
lechas. We're talking about lechas, yeah. I'll tell you the lashon. What about today? That's a good question.
Basically, there's never 49 days. It's like 12 hours.
Since when did it kill? In Yiddishkeit, well, only Pesach starts with a special process starts in the day, but everything else starts in the night. Yeah, after the innovation, Pesach, you look at Pesach exercises also included. If one added an hour earlier,
Okay. Yeah, he makes all the cheshbonos there. Fighter. So that's Abaya's answer. Rava Amar. Rava says, Ho de Tani Rabbi Bar Shmuel. Rava says, I'll give you a different word. A different answer to the problem with Ula. The problem on Ula. From a Braisa, Ula said you could delay. And the Braisa says you don't change. So we said the Braisa means you can make a day early, but you could do a day late. And at the end we say the Braisa is talking about when? Other months, not Nisan and Tishrei. So he says, Rava has a different approach. Hadatani Rabbi Bar Shmuel, Braisa of Rabbi Bar Shmuel, that what? That Ibur Chodesh is not like Ibur Hashanah, Acherim he. This Braisa follows the view of Acherim, which is usually associated with Reb Meir. Reb Meir had Bechlal a whole different approach to Kiddush HaChodesh. The Tanya we learned to Braisa, Acherim says, it's really not about witnesses. Ein bein atzeres la atzeres. You will never have between one Shavuos and another Shavuos of Ein bein Rosh Hashanah la Rosh Hashanah, between one Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah, El arba yamim bulvad. Only 4 days. Meaning, if Rosh Hashanah this year is on Sunday, automatically I know next year it's 4 days later. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If Rosh Hashanah is on Monday, next year I know it's Friday. Rosh Hashanah is on Tuesday, next year I know it's Shabbos. No, it's always 4 days. V'mais Hashanah mu'beres. If it's a leap year, it's Chamisha. It's going to be 1 day. What is Reb Meir saying? Reb Meir is making the following cheshbon. This is an important cheshbon. He holds that the way Bezdin made the months is very consistent. 1 month, 29 days, 1 month, 30. 29, 30, 29, 30. Since the orbit of the moon is 29 and a half days, so essentially they split it up 6 months and 6 months. 6 months they kept the month 29 days, which is a half a day early, a half a day short, and 6 months they kept the month 30 days, which is a half a day extra, and that's how they evened out, and they did this consistently. This is the shit of Reb Meir. If that's the case, Reb Meir tells you that you can always have a siman of how the calendar works. How does it work? If you have 12 months, 6 of them 29 days, 6 of them 30 days, you have a year of 354 days. How many weeks is 350 days? 50 weeks, right? How many sevens are there in 350? 50 weeks. So you have always 4 extra days. So therefore, if Rosh Hashanah is on Sunday, count 50 weeks. 50 weeks, 50 full weeks. The next Rosh Hashanah should be on Sunday. No, you need 4 days later, because it's 354 days. And Reb Meir says there's never a question about this, because there's no issues. We always do 29, 30, 29, 30. We don't care about anything else. Witnesses, yeah. Witnesses, nicht. We will always do that system. Kazer Eva Kaddish, according to this means, Kazer Eva Kaddish, that you have to know that it's potentially visible.
I mean, the calculation has to agree also.
The calculation has to agree. Kazer Eva Kaddish, that it has to be l'cha'ira potentially visible. In other words, you don't need re'iyah b'poyel, but rather it has to be consistent with the times of seeing the moon. It has to be consistent with the times of seeing the moon.
When the moon is like this, however you know that.
So it's not re'eh physically. Because if not, it's not going to be like this. You're not going to have 354 days. You'll be 2 months azay, 2 months azay.
Yeah, that halakim also mess you up.
Yes, yes.
The acres like that.
Yeah. So therefore, what about a leap year? A leap year, you add 1 more month. That month, according to the Meir, was 29 days. 28 days is 4 weeks. So you need to add 1 more day. So in a leap year, you add 5 days. Not 4 days, but 5 days. So between Shavuos and Shavuos, between Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah, of 1 year, the next year will be that day, but 4 days later. Or leap year, 5 days later. That's Reb Meir.
Why doesn't he say about Pesach?
That's the way I do Rosh.
Pesach will not be like that?
Yeah. Huh?
Now, if he says Shua, it already means Pesach
Yes,
also.
Shua,
Because of the element.
Why does it say specifically those two
It says
Yom
Shua.
Tovim?
It says Shua, so it means Pesach also because it's 50 days before, right?
I don't know.
Why did you?
Yeah, question is-
I know, why did you choose this?
This is the big chiddush. He holds there's no mitzvah to Kaddish HaChodesh al pi hariyah. It's basically a system. It's like almost our system.
Well, you have to start from starting points. Where do you start from? Where is he starting from?
Yeah, l'chayda. So now, according to this, this brayso that we learned comes from Reb Meir. Reb Meir says you don't manipulate anything, you don't delay, you don't make a day early. There's no such a thing. That's the brayso. So there's no problem. First of all, there's no question on Ula. That brayso is according to Reb Meir. There's no stira Reb Yochanan to the brayso. That brayso is talking Reb Meir. Reb Yochanan is not talking Reb Meir. That's how we solved the problem. This is Rava's explanation. You see, since Rava says this, that's why many are going to Rabbi earlier. No. Again, a leap year, you're not manipulating anything. You understand? A leap year, you're just adding 4 weeks. So what? Nothing will change. Nothing astronomically changes in a leap year.
You're just going to put Pesach in a Chodesh.
The moon doesn't have years. The moon rotates. A month, you could. When you play with a month, you're playing with astronomy. Not when you play with a year. You're not playing with astronomy. You just took a cycle, you added to the year. You call it Tav Shnai Zayin instead of Tav Shnai Ches. Big deal. You understand? It's a whole different Indian, Gemarah Rosh Hashanah. It's not a small thing. In Halach, it's a big thing. But it's not like Gemarah Chodesh.
Can also be 29 or 30.
So before we learn different shittas, according to the Meir, it was always 29 days. L'Payel, we do Adar Rishon 30 days in our calendar. Yeah. I believe 30. Adar Rishon is added because Adar Sheni we do Purim. If we do Purim in the Adar, so Adar Rishon is the added one. That's usually the other shittas. But
you don't have recorded history of what they actually did.
How do we have recorded history? What do we have recorded history? What?
What basically did for all hundreds of years.
No, the mayor doesn't care if witnesses come. He just says that's not the din.
No, if they were so close to when this was going on, why would there be such a focus of what if it was 1 month?
What did they base the initial line?
They didn't have records of that.
When they made it.
Oh, no, when the Gemara was, when the Mishnah was written, they were still doing this.
So it's how they based, so they knew. So it's like
You mean on Reb Meir?
Yeah, let's go out and see what they do.
What we're basing that
No, they all disagreed with Reb Meir. Reb Meir just says you guys are doing it wrong. No, it was a machlok. Reb Meir they disagreed with Reb Meir. Meir says you're doing it wrong.
He's not saying this is how
No, they're not arguing him. It's Yeah, no, Reb Meir was saying you're doing it wrong. You don't understand Torah.
Supposed to do.
The Gemara says that the halacha was usually not like Reb Meir. No, he was saying this is how it should be. He's not saying this is how it was. He is the author of the Brisa who says, don't compare months to years. Years Bezdin plays around with, months nobody plays around with anything. It's boom. You have a color.
First time was because they were Mitzrayim. We don't know if it's also because we don't know when the previous one was. But the next one started this cycle.
Chodesh, yeah.
Got a 40 from 27 on the
How many days till they can't? I'll figure out. We know which day they like the time, which day.
Today is the Chodesh Chodesh.
I don't understand something. If the Maya is that bright, that for later you ma'ayim.
No, that's how we interpreted the Brisa initially. Initially, we interpreted the Brisa that for later. He takes it out. He goes back to the original Brisa. We don't play any games. Exactly. You understand?
There's certain flexibility in the Torah.
English, it's also.
That's why there's no guilt. Whatever you do is good to let somebody.
English is always current calendar, you can see the Shoshana being the same day it was the year before. Then I'm just asking, 30, 31, everybody else is 29 and 30.
No, well, they have different months in the calendar.
I'm just saying, but then
February has 28 days.
yeah, but besides February, then it's 30 and 31, everybody else is 29 and 30.
Yeah, because they have a longer year.
And also, it depends, the month depends.
You'll see that your English birthday will not be like your Jewish birthday. Why not? Let's say your birthday is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, right? And that's July 4th. Just for example.
A year later,
You would expect it should be next year, July 4th. It's not.
And also,
It's going to be 11 days off. Your English birthday is going to be 11 days off your Hebrew birthday. Why? You know why? Because your Hebrew birthday is going according to the moon.
Was it every 19 years?
But every 19 years, with our leap years, they catch up. And once in 19 years, your English and Hebrew birthday will be on the same day.
because
4 day off.
why 11?
Because it's 11 days off. Because the moon orbits 29 and a half days. If you make that 12 months, it's 354 days. The sun orbits 365 days. So between 354 365, 11 days.
Every night.
and the month, the English
You understand? It takes the sun another 11 days. So let's say it's Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, and the sun is shining over my yard, yeah, and there's a particular place that it's shining, yeah, and I make a scratch here, and I want to see when the light is going to, when the shade is going to be on this place again. It's not going to be Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. It's going to be Yud Aleph Tammuz. You understand? It's going to be 11 days later.
But even with
Why? Because for the moon to get back to this place, it's going to need 365 days. And Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, the next Rosh Chodesh Tammuz is not 365 days, it's 354 days. Unless there's a leap year. Now, in 19 years, we have enough leap years to straighten them out that they become like twins. And then, the sun will be there, Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. You understand? If it was year 18 and then year 19.
the Jewish calendar, if you make that scratch, it's also not every year the same. Because if there's more than 6 months mula, then it's 356 days.
You're right.
It's 2 days off.
354 days is only if it's even. 6 months 29, 6 months 30.
Sometimes it's 5 and 8,
How could it be-
whatever, 4 and 8.
That's why. So now, your birthday is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. That's according to the moon. The next year, you want your birthday to be July 1st. It can't work that way. You understand? July 1st can't be Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. To get from July 1st to July 1st, you need 365 days. Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, 354 days, so you need an extra 11 days to get to your birthday. But once you add leap years, within 19 years, we have 7 leap years. So we have many more days for the moon. So it straightens out. So now from Rosh Chodesh Tammuz to Rosh Chodesh Tammuz will be 300.
And what basis, when did they fix it?
Cool.
When they went from the Julian to Gregorian.
Every few years they used to add a month. That's the
How
point.
did the 365?
They don't have to fix it. They don't need to bring together the sun and the moon. We have to. We're the only ones who need the sun and the moon to make peace.
There'll be a time when it's going to be so
That's
late.
why the Muslims, they
Oh,
only
moon.
use the moon, right?
The Muslims only use the moon. Ramadan will sometimes be in summer and sometimes be in winter.
Gradually gets.
But we have an issue because it says Shomer es Chodesh ha'aviv. You have to guard the spring. Well, it says you have to guard. Well, you have to guard the spring. You have to put security guards that the sun should come up. What's that? Shomer es Chodesh ha'aviv.
Even you follow the moon, we have to still...
That even though we follow the moon, we have to make sure that Nisan is an Aviv. The problem is Nisan is a moon. So if we wouldn't do anything to our calendar, what would happen is 1 year Pesach would be Nisan. The next year Pesach would be other season. The next year would be the Shvat season. After many years, it'll be in the Chanukah season. And in the middle of winter, you're going to have Pesach. Now you're supposed to bring a carbon oil. You're supposed to find grain in the winter. These trees are orphaned. It's snowing outside. It's ice. What? So the Jewish calendar is very complex. Yes, because you have to make peace between 2 different orbits. The secular, the non-Jewish calendar is the sun. The Muslim calendar is the moon. The Jews make peace between both. So that's why every few years you need to catch up. So every 2 or 3 years you add 30 days to the moon. Every year it loses 11 days. 2 years it loses 22 days. 3 years it loses 33 days. every 2-3 years you add a month, the moon, so to speak, caught up. So Tavshanayin Zayin is a long, not Tavshanayin Zayin, but when you have a leap year, it becomes a longer year. So the sun is not so ahead of me. You understand? So my English birthday won't be so ahead. It'll be closer to my Hebrew birthday because I added more days in my Tammuz Cheshvan.
The 19 years is by every person or by every cycle?
No, 19 years is the cycles of the calendar, of the Jewish calendar goes by 19 years. Every 19 years, the sun and the moon have a perfect year. And then it goes off again.
How could it be that Rosh Hashanah was this year and last year on Monday?
Day of the week is a different question.
No, we said...
No, this is days of the month. Days of the week, that's why not? If it's...
to add 4 days. 4
No,
or
that's
5
according to
days.
the Maya.
No, you only add 4 days if you have exactly a year of 354 days.
You always have 354.
No. You can have
Today's
300.
calendar.
You can have 353 days. You can have 355 days, and you can have 380 plus days.
But either way, Mr. How do you get to the same day of the week?
There's like
It's
5
not an
different
even week.
options.
353 doesn't divide in 7, 354 or 55.
But with a leap year.
Last year was a leap year.
We have how many days? 380.
And you have to have, if Kislev and Tevis, if both Cheshvan and Kislev are 29. There's
Denomination. I'm assuming
There's
it is.
one way, yeah.
But the fact, the Matthias is the
Yeah.
Monday.
That it becomes even. It's mamash even weeks. It's an even. I don't mean even. I mean divided by 7.
I read that we learn in the public Talmud Bavli that the sun goes around the earth. But
Yeah.
in the Yerushalmi it's written that the earth goes around the sun.
Okay.
Why
I never saw that. I never knew that.
I was trying to look now for a few minutes, the same article. I'll get back to you.
You'll send me a link.
There's really no point to see what's going on. You have to go people around to see one another. And the calendar, the month of the English month, and if it's 30 or 31, it's based on whom it's named after. Yeah, and that's why the week
Has to be that we wake up
That's why
31 days.
August is 31 instead of being
Augustus.
because it was named after Augustus, that's why they have to take off on day of February.
Put a month on it.
Put a February.
What did he say that why
make
they
them
make this change about
take
the
off
holiday
the
take the shifts to do
Because
this?
Augustus was named after somebody who was a big king.
Now what?
The big king
Change
was
the
31
because
they
of
had
the
to be big
vegetables
kings
and the
instead of
fats.
February.
Well,
How come they did?
Because if Eidos don't come,
Oh, you said it says in the Pusik.
no. So if Eidos testify, if Hafala, but the halach is if Eidos don't testify.
But where did they get this idea?
Yeah. So since everybody needs Rosh Hashanah to be a day later, so they told the Eidos be quiet. Because the Torah says that when the Eidos testify, it becomes Rosh Chodesh. You have to make Rosh Chodesh. So Taki says if they testified, Bezdin is stuck. If they didn't testify, you understand? If they didn't testify, they're not mechuyev to it. So for the sake of the tzibur, they said, let's keep them quiet. Let's say Eidos don't come. There's no question that Rosh Hashanah becomes a day later, right? Al pi Torah, even though the moon was visible.
Not letting them come is like you're playing with a.
Okay, but it's a different type of game. So it says that's what the Pnei Yeshua says. If they actually testify that they saw the moon, and you didn't, and you question them, and they're accurate, then he says, "Fafalim." He says, "You're not allowed to
be quiet." So
now you can't say be quiet anymore. You could tell them l'chatchila to be quiet, or you could make such an investigation that they get confused. That's fine. They don't get confused, then it's for tough
How
luck.
does the Tzaddikim not?
Bezdin can't manipulate that.
How does the Tzaddikim not take advantage of that?
Okay, the Chafam and Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom. So the summation of the sugya is, after Ullah said that in his days they were Ma'aber Elu, and they made Rosh Hashanah not on day 30 but on day 31, which was a Chiddush, And he explained how grateful the people of Bavel ought to be for that, since it was done for their benefit. So the Gemara got into a long discussion about the halachic mechanism to be able to do that. If it happens that way, it happens that way. Because the witnesses came late. They didn't come on day 30, so it happened that way. But what was the halachic mechanism to do it? So the Gemara first brought the Braisa, which created a problem. A Braisa that Rabbi Bar Shmuel quoted. The Braisa says that you can't compare making a leap year to making a leap month. One you could do l'tzairich, one you can't do l'tzairich. One is based on the needs of Klal Yisrael, l'tzairich, and one is based on the facts of Chodesh v'Kadosh, HaChodesh HaZalachah, which obviously would undermine what Ula said they did in Eretz Yisrael. That was the big problem that the Gemara addressed. So the first distinction that was made by Rabbah, according to most Gerses Rabbah, is that there's a difference between delaying the month, delaying Rosh Hashanah, adding a day to the month, and taking away a day. In other words, making the month 29 days. To make it 30 days, that's not problematic, even according to this Braisa. Why? Because it doesn't undermine the Chodesh v'Kadosh. Doesn't do that. As Rashi says, they're doing Kiddush HaChodesh after they saw the moon. They're doing it a day later, but they're doing it after they saw the moon. And therefore, it's not a problem. Of course, only if it's l'tzairich. As both the Pnei Yeshua and the Aruch LaNer explain, that if Eidos would come and say on day 30 that we saw the moon, then so to speak, Bezdin would not be able to do anything. Because that's the day that has to be Kiddush HaChodesh. What they could do is, as he explains, that Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, that Ma'aymin ala Eidim, you could cause the Eidim to be quiet and not speak, and B'meile, on day 31, automatically becomes Rosh Chodesh. If the Eidos would explicitly come and say Eidos, then there's nothing you can do. There's mamish nothing you can do. No, even all the cheshbonis of vegetables and dead and lo yadu roish and so forth, which is how the Aruch LaNer answers al pipshat the question: how can it be that from the days of Ezra through the days of Rav lo matzinu elul me'uber, if whenever Rosh Hashanah is supposed to be on a Sunday or on a Wednesday or on a Friday, whatever the cheshbon is, you're going to push it off. So you're certainly going to have a Rosh Hashanah on a Sunday and a Wednesday and a Friday. Right, that was Tosfos' question. So what's the pshat? The pshat is that no, if Eidos come and say Eidos, there's nothing you can do. If they actions are chayin, right? In fact, as who says it? Aruch LaNer, I think, says it. The lashon of Rabbi Shua ben Levi is ma'aymin al ha'edim al ha'chodesh nira b'zmanei la'abroi. You intimidate the Eidos who come because you want to make ibur. What says you intimidate? What says you intimidate? You investigate. There's so much cross-examination. At one point they say, you know what? Maybe Taka. Maybe we would.
That's Taka very hard. Not learn to if I can, it would be much easier.
Right.
This is like really
right. So the Aruch LaNer says, why don't you just say you don't accept Eidos? It says no, we can't do that. Ma'aymin. In other words, if the Eidos action is a chayin, they don't get intimidated.
Then you don't have Lamatzina anymore.
Right.
There's a lot of years.
Yeah, Lamatzina. Yeah, mamish, hundreds and hundreds of years.
Maybe they didn't want to do a table for bubble then. Maybe they wanted just to come back from bubble.
Looks like a dyke. He says that the Sanhedrin didn't want to do a taiva for Bavel.
After Ezra, they said
because they wanted they should come back. He's saying after the Churban already, it was already.
Like a politician, when he's running, you don't vote for him. But next year, once you vote next year, then I steal all the time.
He's saying they were upset at the Bnei Bavel. Yeah. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, they were upset. So since it's only for Bnei Bavel, not Eretz Yisrael.
Political.
It's also Bnei Yisrael that were further away. It's the same thing.
No, but the Gemara says that Eretz Yisrael there's more ear.
Maybe that's the Europe.
And Europe is Mesa.
When you get to the border, we think that point.
They're low also.
You think the border is like,
yeah, but the Gemara says it was Bnei Bavel. So he's saying that maybe in the time of the Beis HaMikdash it was a special cheshbon. They wanted the Bnei Bavel should make Aliyah. They didn't want to after the Churban. They already cared for them. So I'll call upon them, if the Aedis would not be intimidated, fafalin, nothing you can do. It's Rosh Hashanah, it's Rosh Hashanah. It's not like endless liberty to lechatchila manipulate what you want.
Okay, well, why can't we say that on the time that Ula is talking, is astronomically was supposed to be the day 31, and they find an excuse. They said, and we have more power because we also have Jews.
Okay, but he says ma'aymin. Ma'aymin means you have Aedis who come and say they saw.
Ula. This is not what Ula said. This is a brighter.
Everybody was in on it.
Yeah.
It's a secret society.
That's the Haisaf. If you'll take a look, you know what? It's kedai to take a look at Rabbeinu Chananel on the top. You see the top on the left. Daf Chaf Amud Aleph. Ki asa Ula Amar Ibru Ela Elul. Ula comes and says they made an ibur for Elul. You see Rabbeinu Chananel? You have?
No.
Yes. So he says like this: Koloimar. Itzterich kefia mesoides shahoisa biyad bezdin v'ibru ela elul. It's a whole different part. They needed, based on the tradition that they have. What do you mean tradition? Tradition of how you have to calculate astronomy, that they were experts in. They decided that Elul has to have 30 days. Mipnei, he says, shekaroi soid ha'ibur. This is called, we'll see soon in the Gemara, the secret of ibur, the secret of adding a day. Why is it called a secret? Talk about it. The answer is because L'Poyla was a secret. They would not share the information with everybody. Only L'Mizamonim, people that were invited by Bezdin to decide about making leap years, making leap months.
And now they're already megala it because we don't really make a difference. But the same cheshbon that lost love, they're going to go back to. We make 2 days Yom Tov. It's the same cheshbon. Why would they megala Sadiq? Then already the secret again? At that point it becomes a secret again. No?
Well, perhaps not.
Why not? The same reason they kept it secret, made it a Soida Hebrew now.
Right, but once it's Negala.
So why did they let it out?
Torah Chadasha Meititze.
V'haya Oysa Shana. So it says V'haya Oysa Shana Yoim Lamed La'elo Yoim HaSamach L'Shabbos Beim L'Faneh Beim L'Achera. It happened to be that year, the 30th day of Elul would have been a day right near Shabbos, either a Friday, L'Faneh, or L'Achera, Sunday. It would have been that way. In other words, if Rosh Hashanah would have been Lamed Elul the way it was so many years, it would have been right before Shabbos or right after Shabbos. V'kivon shiro Ula ki Ibru Bezdin L'Elul. When Ula saw that Bezdin in Eretz Yisrael made Elul 30 days, Nidme lo, it seemed to him, Shebezdin ma'abr not tzarech hashash, lo yavar Rosh Hashanah bet of Shabbos, lo bechad b'Shabbos. The purpose is they don't want that Rosh Hashanah should be on a Friday or Sunday. Tzarech hashah. Tzarech hashah means a temporary need. A temporary need. Shaloi lechaber beis kedushas ke'echad. They didn't want to connect 2 holy days as one, meaning Friday, Shabbos, Shabbos, Sunday. Why? Nekvoid meisib. Either because of respect for the dead, right? Either the covet of the Mesim, or for Simchas Yom Tov they should have the pleasure of vegetables. But then he says, don't think they're making leap years they're only doing it based on the Messiah that they have from Moshe Rabbeinu of how you have to make the cheshbonis to keep it consistent with the realities of astronomy. That's what Pashtus what he's saying. Avol mishaloin is galu ha'ikrim. When somebody doesn't know these principles, these fundamental principles behind the calendar.
Without having it.
Yeah.
Without having
Chalila that they were stam were ma'aber, even just for the vegetable reason.
Right.
There was something behind it. There was something behind it. Avol mishaloin is galu ha'ikrim. For people who don't know these principles, ikrim are like the principles, the yesodus. Medumim ki al kol tzarech ma'abrim. They think all there was is, in other words, that was a cheshbon. It was a cheshbon. This thing was a false cheshbon, but that wasn't the core issue. Yeah, we really know it's supposed to be this way, but you know what? The olam needs this. Let's do it. He says no. There were a secret cheshbonim, but that wasn't the conversation. Why was it a side? The pashtus. So different Mefarshim say. The reason is because this was, the calendar by the Jewish people is like It's one of the keys of Jewish existence. You know, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, Yom Tovim, everything, all the institutions of Yom Tovim, etc. So therefore, they kept this only for Beis Din and the top experts, because they were afraid that if everybody knows it, so then a person,
they're going to make their own cheshbonos.
They make their own cheshbonos and then challenge, and it becomes machlokes and disputes and so forth. Once you don't have a Beis Din anymore, and you don't have Eidus, and you don't have this centralized authority of 71 people who can decide together, so then they were already megala the cheshbonos. They had to make a calendar, and they had to do this for thousands of years till Bias HaMashiach, when Kiddush Al Pi, well, they didn't know, but as long as you're going to have it, there won't be Kiddush Al Pi every year. That's what he says. On this there's a machlokes. So he's meisef a whole new vart. The new vart is, it's not just that if the Eidus would come and Takas say, today we saw the moon, Beis Din would have not a choice. The only thing they can do is intimidate them to be quiet or cross-examine them so heavily that they ultimately create uncertainty, and therefore they're quiet, and then you make Rish Chodesh the other day. And the only reason they would do it is only why Mitzod, Yirakas, and Messiah. But he says actually there was something even deeper. There was an element of Seder Eibor.
Forget Rashi completely.
Which Rashi do you mean?
No, I'm saying Rashi's whole Malach and Gemarah wasn't that way.
Right.
The reasons were real reasons, and that's the whole thing they were Semichan. Rashi's very cool like that, no? He just says...
No, Rashi doesn't talk about it.
It could be... The Pashtus. Huh? Pashtus. This, of course, if we accept this Rabbeinu Hananel, it gives another answer to the question of Tosfos. How is it that for hundreds of years Rosh Hashanah would not be Sunday, Wednesday, Friday? Hundreds of years.
That's a very good answer.
So this gives an interesting perspective. Tosfos, but if this is a reason for Ibur, the answer is it's not Stam. It's not Stam Yerakas and Meis. It has to do with Seid HaIbur.
That was for the masses.
Right.
You kind of say, let's
Yeah.
give that out.
And perhaps you can add, there were certain ways you could manipulate things, and maybe they chose it this way because there was this added benefit. But this was not the exclusive issue.
Well, if it was Halachah Mashmishina, it was something like that.
Thank you. No, yeah, but
Then
the Rambam says something, L'mashal. Zeh Seidei Ibur. Hi chachmaschem u'benaschem le'inam Gemarah Shabbos. Zeh Seidei Ibur. Your wisdom for the nations is Seidei Ibur.
It says in the Gemara, and when Ula came, he says, "Mighty Busa." Probably don't know Mighty Busa.
They don't know how good it is.
It's very. I think Pshat could be that it's not saying that we did it as a favor for you. But if somebody said this bad thing happened, you don't know. It's really in a way it's a favor for you. It doesn't mean that we did it as a favor for you.
Right. You're bringing a raya.
I'm saying
You're bringing a raya, yeah?
It's in people's logic to say, don't worry about it, you're going to have 2 days, but it was a favor to you. It doesn't mean that we did it in order to give you a favor.
Well, it says Avdinan Bahadai. You say it happens to be a favor. It's not the only reason was for a favor. That's his point. And Rabbeinu Hananel says Chalila. Why is it Chalila by him? Chalila means because it's not stam, a joke. A chuchotlula, yeah. A chuchotlula. So this is another vart that's mamtik the Inyan. Another vart. Rashi the Pashta says that it's not a stira to Gezer Reiva Kaddish because at least you didn't take off a day. You didn't do it before they saw the moon. That's how Rashi puts it. Rashi puts it that it was Mikshata Ma'abroi Reiva Kaddish. It's just the Kiddush is a day later. So this is the first shit. This is how Rabbi explained it. That was the shit of Rabbi Shoban Levi. And this the Gemara brought a second shit. Groise Kiddush. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya sent a message to Rabbi Ami that Rabbi Yochanan his whole life said that you could be ma'ayim on the Eidus Fakert. To say they saw it even though they didn't see it. In other words, you could make Rosh Chodesh a day early. Even though the Eidus didn't see it, you can intimidate them to say they saw it. Huh?
The whole thing is just the whole thing. Everybody saw the moon, right? Then we had this, everybody saw the moon, everybody sees the moon. So, and you had hundreds or maybe thousands of pairs of Eidim came. Correct?
Well, there's a Mishnah later. We're going to learn that.
Shabbos, if that was Shabbos, where people thought twice about going, then Shabbos they again.
Okay.
Right. So 1,000 of them, they fed them. It was so much.
So what's your question?
So
you mean they had to intimidate a lot of people? You want to?
No, they had no manpower to do it.
No, but they did.
They only took one, and then they
right. So they took it one after the other.
Yeah.
If you have,
and each one separate also.
Food and wine.
They only took the first set. Once
they get drunk, they don't talk no more.
Yeah, but they would make meals. They would entertain them.
They didn't come by themselves. They say.
No, he's saying, the Aruch LaNer says you couldn't not accept Eidus. You couldn't say, we're not accepting this year, Ma'aymin. You have to accept them and investigate them.
Okay.
That's it. It's a good order. Just say, we're not Makabal Eidus. No, we're not Makabal Eidus. From here he brings a raya that if they're stubborn and they say, we saw. Bez says, okay, Chodesh. Doesn't always work. Doesn't always work. You can't stop.
But how did they do if I didn't tell anyone the booze?
Then you waited another day. You waited another day.
So how then can you have it from a wait for 400 years, 500 years, not to have a little nibble?
They saw every month.
You want to know? You're asking another question.
Every month the item came and they didn't let themselves get it.
How for hundreds of years you want to know was never cloudy on the night of Rosh Hashanah? You're asking. Yeah. He's asking him at sea is for hundreds of years it was never cloudy and Eidus were always there day 30 to say that there's Elul. Right?
Yeah.
To say that it's Rosh Chodesh.
Except that they messed up the Shiramalas.
Which like Tosfos, that's the reason. Like when Sinu Elul Mu'ubar, yeah? Why would it be in the future that way? Because maybe Eidus won't come. That means for hundreds of years Eidus came. That's a Chidush Davar.
Yeah.
For 500 years there was not one 29 Elul at night with a cloudy night in Eretz Yisrael, the whole of Eretz Yisrael, that nobody could see it.
Less of a Chodesh in Eretz Yisrael than
That's hard to imagine.
Not in all Eretz Yisrael. In walking distance from Yerushalayim.
No, it doesn't have to be walking distance. Yeah, no, but you can go on a donkey and you can go on a donkey and a horse.
Yeah, you can go on a donkey and a horse, but
because you could be Mechalo Shabbos.
If you're in Tzfat and you go with the donkey,
Tzfat won't help. No, Tzfat won't help, right? Because you need more time.
Yeah.
But even if you're 12 hours, even if you could have to walk a whole night and a whole day before Shkia, you come.
Yeah.
That means anywhere in Eretz Yisrael where you could get there in 23, 22 hours, you go.
There's a lot of people.
That's pretty far. That's pretty far. May not be Tzfas, but it's pretty far. And you could take a donkey, you could take a horse. Remember, you could be Mechal Shabbos for this.
Take a taxi now.
Take a taxi. Take a taxi. Even though there's Shilas, Tchum Shabbos, Tchum Yom Tov. Tchum, and of course all the shvusim of using an animal, etc.
No.
Erev Tchum. Okay. So Rabbi Yochanan's shitta was the big chiddush that you can even go backwards. In other words, you can make the chodesh 29 days. Ad kedei kach, and that's the ma'aymin, to say to the Eidus that they saw it even though they didn't see it. And again, as Rabbeinu Chananel explained here too, you see Rabbeinu Chananel is mixing in here to say that it's not so poshut. It doesn't mean they didn't see anything. It means they saw, but they're doubtful, or you planted doubt, and you intimidate them, you lead them to say that what? It was the moon in order to be able to make Rosh Chodesh on day 29. Which l'chayre, there's no kazer Eiva Kaddish, or at least there's a suffix, because the Eidos have a doubt. And on this we added what the Pnei Yeshua says, again he's mamtikit, that this wasn't done stam, they couldn't do it stam. Can only happen if astronomically, through their calculations, they knew that Rosh Chodesh is supposed to be day 30. In other words, that it's already after the Moiled, that the moon was born, even though the Eidos themselves would retract, but Bezdin already knew it, and therefore, as we know, when there's no Eidos, that works. In other words, it's not the way to do it, it's not the mitzvah, it's not the lechatchil ideal way of doing it. But b'diavad, if there's nothing, right, if there wouldn't be the concept of Eidos like we have today, they could be Mekadosh the Chodesh on day 30, because as he puts it, Yediyah Hareyu Kiriyah, the the Lashon of the Pnei Yeshua. So that's what happened, and that's why Rabbi Yochanan allowed it. How do you reconcile Rabbi Yochanan with the Braisa, or Rabbi Yochanan with Rabbah? On this, Abaye said, it depends Nisan and Tishrei, or other months. The Pashtus, Nisan and Tishrei, where they have the Yamim Tovim. So therefore, they allowed them to do it. They allowed themselves to do it. Other months, they would not allow themselves to do it, to go back according to this Braisa, and therefore there wouldn't be a contradiction between Rabbi Yochanan and the Braisa, and there wouldn't be a contradiction between Rabbah and Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan allowed it only in Nisan and Tishrei. That's how Abaye explains the answer. So it's interesting in Tosfos Haba Nisan U'Be Tishrei, he says, Pirish B'Kuntris, Shamoyadas Tluyin Behen Mekatchen L'Tzoyrech, B'Shar Yarchi Loi. Nisan and Tishrei, when they have the Yamim Tovim, then you could be Mekadesh the Chodesh L'Tzoyrech for the need, even though the Eidos are hesitant. Why? Because the Moyadus Hatali. Why is that a reason of the Moyadus Hatali? L'Chayre, you have the issue of Yerakis and Mesim, but not other months. V'yesh Mefarshim Ifche.
That's fakir from Elchanan completely. In the Hasoga, there's no tzorech according to Elchanan.
It doesn't begin with tzorech.
Right. These are the facts, and we adjust everything to go with
it's just a factor, right? So the Moyadus Tluyin Behen. So therefore, here they do it. V'yesh Mefarshim Ifche. Some say Pshat in Gemara is the exact opposite. Nisan and Tishrei, they would never do this. Other months they would do it. In other words, Nisan and Tishrei, because the Moyadus Hatali, they didn't want to play around. Fakert, if there's Eidus, if there's no Eidus on day 30, there's no Eidus. If the Eidus say, you know what, we're not so sure, okay, we'll push it off a day. Because the Moyadus Hatali. And you can add Dafka the other months, they said, okay, we'll use this mechanism to adjust it to make it a day early. Other months will do it. If we have to do it for other months. Another reason you could say Pshat in the Ifcha.
What's the reason you want to do?
Where does it say Kazerei v'Kadosh about which month? Nisan. Chodesh Hazeh Lechem Rosh Chadashim Rishonu Lechem L'Chodesh Hashanah. Right? So therefore there's a svara to say that Dafkin Nisan you have to be makbid. Kazerei v'Kadosh. That's where the pasuk was said. This was said about Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That was the first Rosh Chodesh of Jewish history. Chodesh Hazeh Lechem. So maybe here it has to be Kazerei v'Kadosh. You don't manipulate Eidos. Tishrei also it says Tiku b'Chodesh. Shofar b'Kasaleyem Chagenu. You should blow shofar b'Chodesh. So that could be the second svara in Tosfos, not like Rashi. Yesh Mefarshim Ifcha. The Tishrei and Nisan, you want a real Kazerei v'Kadosh, and therefore, if the Eidos are not certain, you're going to wait till day 31. You should have for sure Iyas Alavana. Masha Enke, in the other months, not. But Rashi did not learn like that. Rashi learned, no, Pshat is Nisan and Tishrei, where the Moyadus Hatala you could manipulate. Masha Enke in other months, you did not go back a day. But certainly, Ula is right that they could be Ma'aber Elul, they could certainly add a day. This whole machlok is only about taking off a day. Then there was the shit of Rava, and Rava said this whole Bryce is B'chlal following a Das Yochid, and that's Reb Meir. Reb Meir had his own way with the calendar. As we said, Reb Meir had this consistent cheshbon of 1 month 29, 1 month 30, 29, 30, 29, 30. He had his perfect years of 354 days, and that's why he always knew when you had Rosh Hashanah, when the next Rosh Hashanah is going to be 4 days later, a leap year it's going to be 5 days later, and he is the author of that Braisa. He is the man, the Tana behind that Braisa, who says, we don't play around with anything, only Ibur Hashanah, not Ibur HaChodesh. We don't add, we don't take off, we don't increase, we don't decrease, no tzorech, nothing. This is how Reb Meir viewed the halacha, even though most of the Tanoim did not, probably did not agree with him, and therefore there's b'chlal no issue, there's no problem from this Braisa to Ula, this Braisa is only Shittas Reb Meir, Ula is not holding Shittas Reb Meir like most Tanoim, there's no problem. Rabbi Yochanan certainly doesn't hold like Shittas Reb Meir, and Takir, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, and Rabbi Yochanan, they have their own Shitta, you can add, you can take off. You don't also have to say the difference of Nisan and Tishrei and other months based on this, right? Because you don't have to reconcile the two sources. We put the Braisa in the world of Reb Meir. Okay, that's that. I want to learn the Tosfos V'im Hoysa Shana Me'uberes Chamisha. It's a very interesting Tosfos. Remember the Meir's Cheshbon. A year has 354 days. 350 days makes up 50 weeks. Yeah, how many sevens do you have in 350? You have 50 sevens. So if the year would be 350 days flat, without change, if Rosh Hashanah was Sunday, next year Rosh Hashanah will be Sunday, right? Because if a year would be 7777, it's a machaya. Just like we always know, for example, with Sfira. Sfira is 49 days, so it's 7 weeks. So therefore, the first day of Sfira, whenever it begins, so you're going to have 7 weeks flat. So if you would have 350 days, you would have 50 weeks. So if Rosh Hashanah was Sunday, the next year it's going to be Sunday, Monday. Problem is, it's 4 days extra. So Rabbi YY says, no problem. Just push it off 4 days. If Rosh Hashanah one year was Sunday, the next year it's Thursday. Monday, the next year it's Friday. Tuesday, the next year is Shabbos. What about a leap year? Reb Meir holds you add an Adar, and how long is that Adar? 29 days. 29 days has how many weeks? It has 4 weeks in 1 day. So you have to add 1 more day. So if you have a leap year, so if Rosh Hashanah was Sunday, the next year Rosh Hashanah is going to be Friday. So you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you add 5 days and you are done. This is Reb Meir's shit, and he says you can always rely on it. Why can you always rely on it? Because we're sticking to 354 days. Why are we sticking to 354 days? Because every month is going to be 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, consistently. This is his shit. It says Chazeh Re'eh Kaddish. He holds Chazeh Re'eh Kaddish means that you have to do it based on the time when the moon is visible. Based on the cheshbonis, the time when the moon is visible, that's how you have to do it. And therefore, when you do 29, 30, 29, 30, it works out. It's consistent. The moon never changes.
No, when the added leap year is 29.
According to Reb Meir. Earlier in the Gemara we had different shittas, right?
If it will be 30 days, then it will be
If it would be 30, then it would be 6, not 5. Yeah. So Tosfos says this. If it was a leap year, then it has to be Chamish. You see the last Tosfos on Daf Chaf Amud Aleph. So Tosfos be'erkin in Gemarah in Masechta Erkin Daf Tes Parich. The Gemara asks a question. I'm just going to read it according to the final gersa. Va'iki yoyme the tlasin shnin. Every 3 years you have an extra day. What's pshat? What is he talking about? So he makes a very interesting cheshbon. Mikshum de kol shana oidefes arba yamim shmoina shayis tov ayin vav chalak. You see, if the moon's orbit would be perfectly 29 days and 12 hours exactly, after 29 days, a period of 24 hours, 29 times, and then exactly 12 hours, the moon would say, finished, Chasal Siddur Pesach, I'm done, let's start over again. You're great. 1 month, 29 days, 1 month, 30 days, and in 12 months you got it covered. You're perfect with the moon. You're wonderful. Right? The problem is that the moon is not so kind to us. It's a little more than that. It's not exactly 29 days and 12 hours.
He gives the Gaboyim what to do on Rosh Chodesh mention.
Huh?
He gives the Gaboyim what to do.
Yes. It's an extra. Huh?
When they announce the Chalokim, these are these Chalokim.
Right.
So it's 354 days, 8 hours.
So he says, at the end of the year, if you make the cheshbon, you have 354 days and 8 hours, and Tov Ayin Vav, 876 Chalokim. Now, what happens?
So every 3 years you need to add a day.
So he says, these 8 hours that you have every year, you say, big deal, what, you want to get it? No. He says, no. In 3 years, it's going to make up a day. That's an extra day. That's what's going to happen. Why? How much is 3 times 8? 24. 8, 16, and 24.
Every 3 years.
So every 3 years, you have one more day. If every year... I know, that's why I said I'm doing it according to the right gears, sir. You see? Okay. Now, 1 second. Why does it say shloishim? So that's why, if you see, there's different gears. So now let's add. The 876 parts, mitzdarfim liyom shalom l'soif shloishim shana. At the end of 30 years, you can have another day.
That makes more sense. With the day more over.
Another day, besides. Yeah. At the end of a year, you have extra 8 hours, plus Tov Ayin Vav. So Tov Ayin Vav doesn't look like a big thing. But he says 8 hours, right? 3 times 8 is 24. So 24 hours. Every 3 years, you have an extra day. Besides, every year you have an extra 876 chalakim. After 30 years, you got another day. Huh? 3 seconds and a third of a second. 3 seconds and a third of a second.
So basically, every 3 years, whatever.
Let me tell you how it works this way. They make a cheshbon. 876 chalakim in 30 years. Okay, you have 1,080 chalakim an hour. 1,080 chalakim an hour. Yeah, that's how it works. A chalik is 3 seconds and a third. What we say 3 seconds and a third, that's a chalik. So you have 1,080 chalakim in an hour. Okay? If you now, over 30 years, multiply each year, you have 876 chalakim, you end up with 26,280 chalakim. 26,280 chalakim over 30 years. Okay? Take 26,280, okay, and divide them into 1,080 chalakim, which is an hour, and you have 24 hours and 33 chalakim. 24 hours, 24 hours and 33 chalakim. That means after 30 years, you have an extra day. So after 3 years, you have an extra day. This means that Reb Meir's cheshbon is not true, is not completely accurate, right? After 3 years, there's another day. You have to push it off another day. So Tosfos says, you're right. Or Meshani, the Gemara explains, Mishum de Lesser b'chol shana like a chashav. It's not that Reb Meir didn't know about this. Since it doesn't happen every year, he's not putting it part in his cheshbon.
It's got to be accounted for.
It has to be accounted for, yeah. It will be. So when he says between Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah there's 4 days, he doesn't mean there's always 4 days. And when he says a leap year there's 5 days,
right, so
he doesn't mean that's it there is.
If it's the third year, it's going to be a day more. If it's
Yeah.
the 30th year, it's going to be
If it's the 30th year, it's going to be another day. If it's after 3 years, it's going to be another day. Since it's not a consistent thing, Chol Shana like a Chashav. It's a harder. Vait, Zog the Gemarah. You want to ask something?
Exactly 24.
Yeah, yeah.
How much is 33 chalukah makes out?
So after 100
It's even though it's safe if you're going to take that.
After 250 years.
So 6,000 years, I'm going to be off by a couple of minutes.
24 hours, 24 and 33 chalakim.
3.3 seconds. So it's a minute and a half. That's more.
It's going to take a long time to add up.
300 years. An hour. 30 years makes it the day. That's 300 hours.
It's not 10% more. It's less than 10%.
We have 1,080 chalakim in an hour.
33 chalakim. You do it, do the math. Tell me how many years.
Vait. Rav Dimi. Comes the Gemara now and brings another shitta. In the meantime, we had how many shittas? 3 shittas. We had the shitta of the Braisa that said, nothing is up for grabs. Nothing is up for grabs. Bezdin nevs never ma'abel l'tzayrich. Ma'abel the Chodesh l'tzayrich. The way we're interpreting it at the end, according to the Meir. We had the shitta of Rabbi YY ben Levi, that ma'aymin ala edim for what? To be quiet, to add a day. And we have the shitta of Rabbi Yochanan, that all his years he taught ma'aymin ala edim even to make Rosh Chodesh a day early and make the month 29. Now comes the next shitta. Rav Dimi min naharda masni ifcha. You see where we are, yeah? 1, 2, 3. 3 lines from the bottom, Chaf Amar Aleph, the last words on the line. Rav Dimi min naharda masni ifcha. Reb Dimi, who came from the city of Naharda in Bavel, he used to teach the opposite of Rabbi YY ben Levi. Rabbi YY ben Levi said you intimidate Eidos to silence them because you want Rosh Chodesh to be the next day. Reb Dimi is masni ifcha. That's the ifcha. Ifcha is opposite of Rabbi YY ben Levi. What's the opposite? He said ma'aymin ala eidim. You can intimidate the people who come to testify ala Chodesh shaloi nira bizmanai. The Eidos on the month, on the new moon, shaloi nira bizmanai, which is not clearly visible in its time on day 30, lekatsha. You intimidate the Eidos that they should testify about this moon, that it's not so clearly visible, it's not a blatant, obvious reality, you can intimidate them l'katra in order to make Rosh Chodesh that day. But you do not intimidate Eidos who came to testify that they saw the moon on day 30. There's no way that you intimidate them la'abroi because you want to have Ibur HaChodesh because you want the month to be a day later. So in other words, his svara is punkt farket. His din is punkt farket. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says to delay nish geferlich, to take off, that's a big problem. Rabbi Yochanan disagreed. First we thought maybe Nisan and Tishrei and other months there's no argument, right? According to Abaya, according to Rav, no, there's a real machloikas here. And then you have the shit of Reb Dimi who says the opposite. To make a day, to make a month 29 days, that you can do. To make a month 30 days, even though it's supposed to be 29 days, that you don't do. That's what he says. Mamash ifche. Mamash ifche. My timer. Why? Why? The svara of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi we understood. Because they're Reva Kaddish, right? To make 30 Rosh Chodesh is more severe than to make 30 Rosh Chodesh when day 31 is supposed to be Rosh Chodesh is far more problematic, ostensibly, than the other way around. To make 31 Rosh Chodesh when 30 is Rosh Chodesh. As Rashi said, because to make 30 Rosh Chodesh when 31 is supposed to be Rosh Chodesh, there's no Kazarei Kaddish. But to make 31 Rosh Chodesh when day 30 is supposed to be Rosh Chodesh, there was a Kazarei Kaddish. Fine.
How can this practically be? How do you item
they're coming, they don't have it.
So that's what we explained from Rabbeinu Chananel, that you have to say, well, what's ma'aymin ala edim? Who are you intimidating? They didn't come, there's nobody to intimidate. You take two people and say, come, I want to intimidate you. I mean, you have to understand, right?
So it's the same thing that
now they came and they had stuff and they were short.
L'cha'oida, that's pshat. Even though Rashi doesn't say this, Rashi just says, tell them to lie, so to speak. I mean, what...
the back alley. Come on, look at this.
It would be a pellet de kazach, right? The Sfasemis L'marshal, our Rashi says he doesn't understand. He says, if Bezdin has a koyach to be Mekadosh the Chodesh without Eidos, so stop threatening people. Just do it. What do you gain by telling them to lie?
He didn't say threaten. He said intimidate, number one. Number two is a case they did walk in.
Oh, so that's what Rabbi Chananel tells us. They saw, but you can easily get them to doubt it. So ma'aymin, that's what the word ma'aymin means. Ma'aymin means you lead them, you pressure it, you convince them, you verbally convince them. But remember, you're not lying. This is a very nice order from the Pnei Yeshua. Astronomically, Bezdin is right. It is the day. But this doesn't mean they saw it, or they don't have doubts, right? Sometimes it's cloudy, you may see something for a second, it looks at the moon, the Eidos, yeah. But it's not like Bezdin is manipulating them to invent a sheker.
This is for all 12 months or just for listening?
According to the Bdimi, it seems like all 12 months. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi also said all 12 months.
The opposite.
Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, the opposite, all 12 months, yeah. So this is the Chiddush of Bdimi. And Rabbi Yochanan said everything. Also, Rabbi Yochanan said both ways. Rabbi Yochanan said both ways. He didn't care. Frankly, my timer, what would be the reason for the Bdimi's chiluk? So he says a whole different word. The Gemarah says, Hai mechze keshikra, hai loy mechze keshikra. One looks like a lie, and one doesn't look like a lie. What's pshat? So let's see Rashi. Hai mechze keshikra. Kshenir is bismano. When the moon appears, when the moon appears in the right time, what's the right time? I shouldn't say the right time. When the moon appears in the time means it's not a delayed birth. In other words, when the moon appears on day 30,
and it's not cloudy, and it's
right. Ve'einon me'idin harbe. Ve'einon me'idin, and the Eidos are not saying Eidos. Why are they not saying Eidos? Because Bezdin is like shh. Go say Tillim and then come back and it's going to be Shkia. Or they make investigations to the point that the Eidos back off. Rashi says, Harbe acherim yeshera'u. There's many other. There may be thousands and thousands and thousands of people. The moon doesn't belong to a certain group. Everyone could see the moon. So many others saw it. V'nireh shal shekeri bru. So when they hear suddenly that Rosh Chodesh is a day late, they're like, who's running the show here? Was this politics here? Who's running the show? I saw the moon 29. I saw a beautiful moon. Not beautiful. I mean, it can be beautiful, but it's the sickle, the little sliver with a little sickle.
It was not cloudy. It was
Yeah,
clear.
and suddenly Rosh Chodesh is a day late. We're sure that this is Rosh Chodesh, day 30. No, day 31. It doesn't have a good flavor, it actually says. Neither shall sheker, but not that they were shekronim. Not that they did it with sheker. Yeah. Either it was a cheshbon of Saidi Ibur, or it was that they have the permission to do it because the Eidus Lapel didn't say Eidus, and there was a tzorich. Avol kshaloi v'amru ra'inu ein ha-sheker noida. He calls it a sheker. He says when they didn't see it, nobody see it. And there's two Eidus who said they saw it. Nobody sees a lie. There's no lie that's known. What's the lie? Two guys saw it. I didn't. No. And we have a klal. I didn't see the moon means there's no moon. If I saw the moon, it means there's a moon. If I didn't see the moon, it doesn't mean there's no moon. That's the klal, right? If you saw something, it means it's not the opposite. If you didn't see it, I didn't see it. So he says, this is mechzik shikra, this is not mechzik shikra. In other words, it's clear that his shitta is that be'etzem everything is mutter. Just like Rabbi Yochanan, be'etzem everything is mutter. You can make it 29 days. If you have the authority for it, if you have the mechanism for it, you can make it 30 days. L'payil, this we did, this we didn't do, because this appears like a lie, and it's counterproductive, and this doesn't appear. Here you see how the concern they are, that people should not think, should not be able to interpret things as just, No, just immoral, unethical. What?
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary, yeah.
So they're not going to want to come. They're saying this is a joke.
It's a joke. No, it's mechzik shikra. You want your it doesn't have to do with Torah. It's not emes. The moment it's not emes, you undermine trust. When you undermine trust, it's a terrible thing.
It's built into the system. It's not sheker, but since it's such a monumental thing to be,
so it has to come that way.
With this man,
right.
This is the push of pshat, what the Rashi said. There's no pshat.
Yeah. She'ein ha-sheker noida. Ein ha-sheker noida. Does Rashi mean that they asked the Eidos to lie? It would be a big pella. Because what do you need Eidos for?
They didn't ask them to lie.
No, I'm just saying that this is the touch.
They came for the meal.
Because other people will see.
Yeah, he says clearly, Ein ha-sheker noida. It's not known to them.
So if the Eidos came and they said something, they couldn't sway them. So they stopped
Any other meaning?
it.
Could be any other meaning. What do you mean? So
No, what would be the other meaning? Why are you looking for another meaning?
It's very interesting. With the people.
But it's mashma that medin Torah, Reb Dimi would hold that you could be ma'aber l'tzairach, just like you can be mekadosh l'tzairach. It's not a problem, right? So b'meila, the Braisa, where Rabbah said you're not allowed to, l'chayra, he would also say like it's like Reb Meir, so that would work. How would Reb Dimi explain the Braisa? He would explain it according to Reb Meir. But l'chayra, still you would have to say that by Adar and Elul, he's moida that you're not afraid about mechzik shikra. Why? Because Ula said that they were ma'aber Elul. In other words, they pushed it off a day. But says mechzik shikra. So it could be that here you have to say, in order to reconcile it with Ula, what they did in Eretz Yisrael, that if Dimi would hold that maybe for Elul and Adar, when it came for Tishrei and Nisan, mitzad tzorich of the Moedas, they would do it. L'chayra, that's the mashmos. Zog the Gemarah. Omar Shmuel. Shmuel came and he threw a bombshell. What did he say? Yachilna l'sekune l'kula goyla. I could fix up the situation for the entire exile. Zog Rashi, what's pshat? Yicholni l'sekune beloy re'iyas edem. I don't need witnesses to come and tell me when they saw the moon in order to establish Rosh Chodesh. Ki baki ani betoldos halavana v'hilucha v'seder hamazalos.
That's no chiddush, because he said everybody could do that.
Shmuel said he's the expert, huh?
What's Shmuel giving me the, what's the prize?
It's a different thing. When it rises with the moon, we learned that.
Yes, that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's still...
Shmuel says, I'm an expert in Toldos Halavana. Toldos Halavana doesn't mean the history of the moon, it means the birth of the moon, the Ma'ila. V'hilucha, its orbit, its movement. And the third thing is Seder HaMazalos. The Seder of the Mazalos. L'chayra, how is that connected? So we'll soon see how that's connected. Why are we dealing with the Mazalis now? Because that's connected to this whole parsha.
Shmuel knew more than Ben.
Shmuel was a top expert in astronomy. The Gemara says that Shmuel said, right, that Shvili di Rakia Nehirinli Kishvili di Naharda. He lived in Naharda. He says, I know the pathways of heaven, just like I know the paths here in the city in Naharda. Just like you know Forshay and how to get to your house, that's how he knew the highways in heaven.
What did he know more than Ben?
Peasants just know the Cheshbonis.
What's the difference? They're going to be everything that he knows.
What? Could be that's where they're cottage.
Today there's a lot of people who
No, in other words, Shmuel was saying he was such an expert of how it works. So for the whole Bnei Goyla, he could fix up the situation. Why? Certainly for his. No, he's talking to his Achavra. Shmuel lived in Bavel, in Babylonia. The time of Shmuel, Bepashtus, they were still Mekader the Chodesh al Pi Ariyah. Shmuel was a colleague of Rav. This is the first generation of Amirayim. Remember, Kiddush al-Chodesh al Pi Ariyah continued till, according to most, Dalad Alafim Kuf Yud Ches. That would be 300 and...
This wasn't really...
No, but they had a Bezdin and Adis would come till 358. Till the middle of the 4th century. So you're dealing with hundreds of years after Churban Beis HaMikdash. It ended after the generation of Abaya and Rava, who were generations after Rav and Shmuel. But nonetheless, the Bnei HaGoyla, who the Shluchim did not arrive to, they all had to do their 2 days, Yamim Tovim, or 1 day Rosh Hashanah, according to Rashi, or 2 days Rosh Hashanah, and other Yamim Tovim, because they didn't know. So Shmuel comes and says, since I know exactly when Rosh Chodesh is about, I know exactly how the moon works, so therefore I could tell the Bnei HaGoyla when Rosh Chodesh is supposed to be, similar to what we do with our calendar, which is based not on witnesses coming, but based on astronomical calculations. But this is a very long time before a man named Reb Hillel makes the calendar. And Shmuel says, I could be Masak and everything and fix up the situation for all the Bnei HaGoyla by telling and making a system every Rosh Chodesh when it's supposed to be, and following that pattern without Adis coming. I don't even have to look up. I don't need anybody coming. That's what Shmuel says. Now, what did he mean practically? What did he mean practically? He was just like trying to say that he knows astronomy, or he wasn't just trying to say he knows. He could have said, I know astronomy, which he did say. He was saying something that he would like to do, at least theoretically. Basically, in the Mefarshim, there's 3 different interpretations what Shmuel meant practically. One interpretation is that what he meant was that he can actually do it. He can actually do it, even though it's not Eretz Yisrael, even though there's no Bezdin. There's a Bezdin, but not an Eretz Yisrael. Nonetheless, what? We're in Bavel, yeah. Nonetheless, Shmuel felt that he has a right to do it. In other words, why? Similar to what the Rambam says, the way the Rambam explains Kiddush HaChodesh, that there's 2 options. If you have a Bezdin and you have a Sanhedrin and you have Eidis, then Kazer Eva Kaddish. And if not, the Rambam believes it's Halacha L'Moshe Sinai, that what? You could do it based on astronomical calculations. So he said, we're stuck. We're stuck, just like in the time when you don't have Sanhedrin. You're stuck, and therefore you do option B. He says, we're far away, and we're stuck. We don't have that. We don't get the Shluchim coming. Since we don't get the Shluchim coming, so therefore he would make his own institution. Now that would be a very big chiddush, because that would mean that theoretically, right? It could be different times. There could be different times. I mean, it wouldn't go crazy off, but there could be different times. But instead of us doing 2 days, we're going to do 1 day. So this would be mamish like a breakaway. I'm not going to say a breakaway Yiddishkeit, but a breakaway minyan, literally. Yeah, that's how the Chazonish learns the Gemara. Yeah. They're doing this whole thing.
Who called who on this day of Yom Kippur?
Reb Gamliel and Reb Yeshua. Daf Chafei. Reb Gamliel and Reb Yeshua. Yichalni l'sekuna. That's one perspective. Another perspective is.
No.
But there were Batei Dinim. In Bavel. Yeah. No, they can't substitute Eretz Yisrael. That's the place to do it. If lo hiniach kamoise Beretz Yisrael, then the halacha is you can have a bezdin in Chutz La'aretz do it.
The idol continued, when you said it continued 100 years, was everything in that...
All in Yerushalayim, yeah. Or wherever the Sanhedrin was.
Yeah, they moved.
They moved around to a lot of places. They were in Yavne, they were in Tzipori, they were in Usha. They had to leave after the Churban. They couldn't stay in Yerushalayim. They moved to Yavne, and then they moved to other places.
They were respected by both
Sanhedrin, it's the central authority of the Jewish people. They made all the decisions. There was no machlokes about kitnius. There was no nusach svard in Ashkenaz. There was no machlokes about anything. They decided, and that was it. There was a vote, and that was it. Okay. So that's one oifen. That mamish complete independence. Yeah.
Second.
Other Mefarshim say it's not what Shmuel meant. What Shmuel meant was that to be able to anticipate what they decided in Eretz Yisrael even without shluchim. That would be that's much more different pshat, not so radical. To be able to anticipate through my cheshbon is what they would have decided, what they would decide. That's what I could do. That's a whole different. That's a different part.
I would say it's a Rashi question.
Well, Rashi says
I could get to where they are without having it.
Yeah, that's another. That's a possible option. That's what he means. I don't need Eidos. Why? Because I know how it's supposed to be. I could figure it out.
The Beruch said he doesn't need Eidos also.
Which means they also didn't really need Eidos.
Right. Yeah, right.
In other words, Shmuel meant to say that he knows when it's going to come, when Eidim is going to come.
Yeah.
He knows when the moon is going to happen. So automatically that means that...
Is he saying that he would be able to rely on that? Is he saying that he would be able to rely on that before Shulchan come?
Maybe that...
He would be able to rely on that before Shulchan come?
Yeah, you can rely on it. Because I can anticipate what they're going to say. What they're going to say. And then looking at Rabbeinu Chananel, the top of Chaf Amud Beis, he says, Kiloimar, you see, Kiloimar, yesh bi koyach lachshav cheshben hashanim, ulesaken eze shana tzrichi ibor. I can tell you which year needs a leap year. V'chein b'chadashim eze chodesh tzorich lisaber, ad bias hagoyel v'yashav haSanhedrin. I can do this till bias hagoyel and Sanhedrin. From here it's mashma, the Brisker of writes, the Chidush Agriz writes, that Rabbeinu Chananel believed that Shmuel was already after Kiddush HaChodesh al Pi Ariyah. Not like we usually assume. And therefore he said, Ad bi as goel tzaddik, till you're going to have the Sanhedrin. In other words, that he was already talking post. That's a whole third interpretation. That he was talking already post Kiddush HaChodesh al Pi Ariyah, and he says, I can decide everything till Mashiach comes, and we're going to have a new Sanhedrin. Which is a different interpretation completely, because the Rambam says that till Abaya and Rava you had Kiddush HaChodesh. So this would be a different interpretation. Just bavarening, it's a Chiddush Rabbeinu Chananel. In other words, he's basically saying he could make our calendar.
Why did that's what exactly what he's saying.
You'll see what happened. Let's just
why does this show that it was after Sanhedrin?
Just Rabbeinu Chananel.
Yeah, I'm saying,
He says, Ad bias hagol bias yashav Sanhedrin. According to the first interpretation, according to the first, there's a Sanhedrin. We just don't have contact with them. So I'm going to make my own cheshbonos. Rabbeinu Chananel is saying something else. Huh?
Yeah. What I'm doing is taking the place of what they're doing.
Right. Mashenk in Rashi says yichilnu l'sekuna b'loy re'iyas edim. From Rashi, it's mashma that there is re'iyas edim. I just don't have it. Right? A whole different word. I don't know. Oh, you say below you said that Bechal doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. You can't put it in both.
But the common denominator is that Shmuel was thinking about the Jews living in Goyla. The Shluchim were not coming to them, and therefore they did not know when Kiddush HaChodesh is. So he says, I can do it for everybody. Let's just see mamish one line here. This is what he said. Amalei Abba Avuad Reb Simloi l'Shmuel. Abba, the father of Reb Simloi, told Shmuel, Yada Mar Hai Milsa the Tanya B'Soideh. You say you know it all, right? Do you know? Could you explain to me what we learned? We learned a brisa in Soid HaIbur. What's Soid HaIbur? It's a Rashi brisa shnuya b'rimazim. There's a brisa that was written in code language, so it's called Soid HaIbur brisa. It's a brisa about the moon, but it was written in Soid, in a code language. Yeah. And so tell me, since you're an expert, tell me what it means in that brayso when it says these words. Noilat koydem chatzos, noilat acher chatzos. There's a difference if the moon was born before chatzos or after. Rashi says, kach shanui ba, that's the text. V'remez ba'almahu, it's a code. Loimar koydem chatzos chaluk min noilat acher chatzos. Huh? Right, it doesn't say. There's a difference if it was born before. Amalai, Shmuel tells the father of Reb Simlai, Loi. I don't know the difference. I don't know what that means. Amalai. So Reb Abba tells Shmuel, Midahala Yadamar. If you don't know this, there's probably some other stuff you don't know. And therefore, you cannot do this. Rashi says, Yadamar machilik yesh. You don't know the difference of the schillah, there's other things you don't know, and therefore you're not capable of doing Kiddush HaChodesh. In other words, Rabbeinu Chananel says, what's the vart? What's the vart? Stami was telling him you don't know, Shmuel says he does know. So Rabbeinu Chananel says what he was telling him here, that there's certain things that are not based only on astronomical calculations. There's certain things that had to come down through tradition, from generation to generation, that Bezdin got all the way back L'Moshe Sinai. And that you have to know to be Mekadosh the Chodesh. In other words, you know everything that you could know with your cheshbonos, but there's certain other things that you had to receive, and therefore you can't do it. And that, I guess, put the lid on Shmuel's plan to do it. The next sugya of Gemarah is one of the very, very fascinating and complex sugyas, not only of Rosh Hashanah, but of the whole Shas, where the Gemara is going to try to decipher what these words mean, how the Moiled works, how the moon orbits, and the Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to do that, we're going to resume that on Monday, right?
This class is brought to you by the yeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.